Oh my God, I love it. This is going to be
All
great.
right, yeah, let's do it.
All right, let's do it. Let's do it. Do it. Do it. All right, let me get this started here. I don't know how this is going to work. I don't know. I don't know when it's officially started on here, so I'm going to rely on the Google Hangout platform. Okay, guys, I believe we're live. How a very new Poker Live podcast setup here. I think that I don't know what you catch previously up in here, but my name is Joey Ingram One, aka Chicago Joey. On today's Poker Live podcast, I'm going to talk about my 34 videos I need to make, or I go skydiving out of a plane, and I'm taking Doug with me because me and Doug made that bet together, and it's a mutual team bet where Doug has to make sure I get my 40 videos done, or we're jumping out that plane. We're talking
No,
about
no,
that.
no, 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 no,
Listen,
no,
before we get
no, 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 no.
no, before
That
we get
was not
into
it.
it,
Okay,
before
all right, go over it.
let me give my thing, and then you can dispute that. But you're jumping out the fucking plane with me. There's not an option for you, okay? I'm not letting you out of this one, okay? But that's it. We're here. We're live. Welcome back, guys. Today we're going to talk about what's been going on in my own life with myself these past few months as I've been deep in the lab of understanding myself and figuring out all those things that make you super uncomfortable about yourself that you never really think about, and coming to grips with exactly who you are as a person and why you are the way you are. So we're going to talk more about that. We're going to talk more about what my man Doug Polk's been up to on the content streets. We're going to talk more about what my man Doug Polk's been up to on the poker-related streets, including recent things he's talked about in terms of how he feels playing poker, dealing with the anxiousness, and where exactly that anxiousness comes from as well. And one big thing I want to talk to Doug about is, for poker players out there, how you identify what it is that you need to get better at, and what it is that, just in general terms of how you learn to get from the next step. Let's say you're a 10-20 player. How do you get to 25-50? How do you know what your leaks are? And then how do you go upon tackling that and putting it in the learning process and continuing to get better at it in order to get to that next level? So we're going to talk about that. I need you guys to let me know when Doug speaks and I speak how the audio is out there, because I'm using a new setup right now. It'll be a little bit better in the future. But that's it. Also, Upswing has a relaunched high-stakes multi-table tournament course. If you want to become the best multi-table tournament player in the entire world, like my man Nick Petrangelo, a.k.a. Nick Petrangelo, then you need to check out the
Your
course.
man, your main man.
Listen, I like the guy. I love that on the podcast. I actually like the guy a lot, man. I love to get to know more about him. He seems like a very fun guy. But he's more upswing poker guy. Shout out to Nick. And the course links in the description below. We're going to talk more about that with Doug. That's it. Doug, what's happening, man? It's good to be
So
fucking back, buddy.
it's great to be back. Thanks for having me on the podcast as always. I have to say it's a little weird now because normally we do the switch back and forth format.
Okay.
So like when you talk, I can like have a drink, I can like check the chat, I can kind of like compose myself, and then when it comes back to me, I'm like right back in the. Now it's like continuous. So we're like, it's like we don't have like little hidden moments where we can do stuff. Like I know that.
This is very, they've never, because I have on my setup, I have the chat, I have my topic list, I have this stuff. So they don't realize like how much I shift my eyes back and forth, but I'm still paying attention. I hear what my guest says, but mindfulness and singular focus is a big priority of mine right now. So I'm going to be less aware of the chat for this, and I'm going to be a lot more focused on the conversation, and we're going to get the overlay better. So one big thing I want to let people know is that I'm handling things a little bit different in my life now, a much more professional setup. There's a lot of things that I'd like to get better at in terms of the quality of my product out there, the way it looks on camera. My camera, I'm going to be getting a new camera as well. We're going to be redoing the background here, and overall improving every aspect of my setup, the marketing before, the marketing after, the quality of the questions, the quality of the content, the quality of exactly the enjoyment for people out there in the world. So these are going to be very big focuses of mine. It's something I've never put priority on in the past. And it's something that I realized that it comes down to being scared, and just being scared of failure, scared of the uncomfortability, scared of really putting my all into something and not having it go how you envision it going. So these are big priorities for mine in the future. And you guys are going to see a different preparation out of me on this podcast. You're going to see a different focus. You're going to see a different approach. And if I'm not able to do these things, then I'm not going to continue to do content on this level, because these are things I have to do for myself to be able to just feel like I'm fulfilling myself and I'm living up to my potential. And I think these are things in the past that I've just never encountered. And also, Doug, before I get into this, you don't have to really talk about this. This is kind of a very deep thought of mine. We're hitting them pretty hard, but I want to apologize to people out there because I feel like in the past, man.
I, Are we doing a bit?
No, we're good.
Oh.
We're good. I gotta get this off my chest, kid. I gotta get this
Okay.
off my chest, kid. I
Get
know
off
I'm
the chest. Go
emotional.
for it.
I
Go
just
for
can't
it.
help it.
Okay.
Okay.
I
I
go for it,
gotta
man.
apologize to people out there because I feel like
I'm here for you.
I got it, but myself, and I've just told myself I'm gonna do a lot of things. I've told people out there I'm gonna do a lot of things, and I haven't been a man of my word. And it really hurts to think about that and to know that, to say you're gonna do content, to say you're gonna do ideas, to tell myself I'm gonna be a better person, and I haven't been doing that, man. So I want to apologize to people out there who I feel like I've let down, and yeah.
Bro, you haven't let anyone down here, man. You're good. You're good.
Yeah.
So it's all good. It's all good in the hood, bro. I mean, you've said you can do a lot of things. You've done a lot of things. Done a lot of podcasts.
Yeah.
You've been
man,
working.
I just,
on
you know
lately.
what?
It's good. It's all good in the hood.
I just took a deep dive into myself, and I'm trying to figure out, where does this unhappiness come from I have, and why was I feeling depressed that I had, and why was I feeling this way? Because I have absolutely no reason to feel like this. And, when I look back on my life and I realize that I've just never really, I've never really learned to understand what it is to be a person, what it is to be a man, what it is to organize your life, what it is to plan your life, what it is to deeply think about these things. And I started out doing these content and these podcasts, and I had every intention to have fun and to enjoy it and to help people out and to put out something that I just love talking poker. And I think that I just became very overwhelmed with what exactly this turned into. And instead of figuring out how I handle these things, I've just never studied. I've never learned. I had no idea how to get better. I've had a complete fear of asking others for help. I have a complete fear of comfortability. And I think that in the past I haven't had that, but I've made decisions in my life that I felt like really ruined my life and really fucked up my life. And
What decisions did you make that really fucked up your life?
well, losing all my money is probably the big thing in terms of living with that fearlessness. And then,
When did you lose all your money?
well, Australia, playing poker, those types of things like that. I think especially
So like 4 or 5, 6 years ago or something, right?
Exactly.
Okay.
I don't think I've ever really got over that. And
Okay.
I've never really thought about it. I've never really faced it. I've never really overcame that. And
I mean, dude, you're in good company when it comes to losing all your money. I mean, I lost like I think seriously, I think I lost 99.5% of my entire like bankroll between 2010 or 11 and like 2013 or something.
yeah, man.
I remember this because I went from $500,000 down to a few K. So it's okay. It happens. And like, I think that it hurts when that happens, but you just have to like let that fuel you to make you stronger.
Yeah, man, I think it just comes down to, I feel like I worked so hard for so many years to set myself up for life. I felt like I put my entire being. Is my microphone working? Okay, it is.
Your mic's working.
Okay, no, I just feel like I put my entire being into poker, and I don't know. I think my microphone isn't actually working on the OBS, unfortunately, here. So,
Why would it not be working?
oh, my bad, it is. No, I'm looking at the wrong one. So yeah, I don't know. I'm a little frazzled right now. I'm gonna make a video tomorrow talking more about this and talking more about what I've been and talking more about what I've been studying and talking more about how exactly I've dealt with the depression. I mean, I want to give a big thank you to Garrett Adelstein for even coming on my podcast and addressing this. And then, yeah, man, without him, you know what I mean? Without him, I never would have knew, so I mean, he's been a big help to me. So
That's awesome, man. It's good to have people that are there for you. I mean,
Yeah.
I guess it's like a little hard for me to know like exactly because you kind of hit on a lot of topics there that are all sort of different. I think the main takeaway though is like you shouldn't feel like you let anyone down because you've done the majority of things you set out there to do, and like obviously there are going to be things that you try to do and fail in life, but that's part of the growing process. And like that's the thing. I think it's like so easy to get comfortable in your zone of things you do normally, and so it's tough to kind of put yourself out there and try and do new things and like risk the way that people will view you for that, or is it gonna work? Like taking those risks is hard,
right.
and often results in failure. Like you're gonna fail a lot of the time you try and step outside your comfort zone in other areas, but if it's important to you or it's something that you really want to do, then you should do it. And then on the same token, like if you don't feel that way, if you feel like you really want to stick to what you've been working on, you know, I feel like there's like some meta discussion here on whether we're talking about like doing poker related stuff or not, or whatever it is. I feel like you should do like, look, dude, you get to live one time. Like, don't
Right.
no regrets, man. Like, you just gotta go out there and give it your best shot, and do the things that you think are going to make you the most fulfilled. So that's
Yeah,
it's that simple.
and I think a big reason was I wasn't doing those things in the past, and I was still making content. And I was still thinking I was a poker player when, the reality is I'm not a poker player anymore, man. And the landscape of what I consider to be a poker player doesn't exist anymore. It's not like that anymore. The opportunity isn't there. I still love playing. I love it more than anything else in the entire world, man. I would still play if it was different, but I learned about rest of the world, man. That's the unfortunate side effect of doing the pod is I learned about what else is out there in the world, and I've realized that I just love to learn about different things, and I'm super curious. I love investigating. I love researching. I love studying, and just couldn't put that together in my mind. Why am I not happy to keep doing what I'm doing here? And just, to me, it seemed like I had no reason to be unhappy with my situation. And I mean, I didn't really tell Doug I was going to talk about this, but that's why I wanted to have Doug on, because Doug knows me better than almost anybody, and he knows me better than maybe I know myself in a lot of different ways too. We had lunch the other week, and I just
That was hilarious, by the way. We sat down at lunch, and like some guy is at the table next to us, and he's just like starts laughing, and we look over, and he's like, "Oh, I didn't know you guys were allowed to do this in real life." I was just like, "That was too funny."
No, that was actually fucking hilarious, by the way. At a very random place in Vegas. He's like, "I didn't know you guys actually met in real life." We're like, "Yeah, we do meet in real life. It's not. I'm sure it's something that we both could do better in terms of getting out of the house. These are going to be things I talk to you about as well too." But I just kind of lost my little train of thought there. But I think that I put up a couple ideas out there, what I was thinking, and you straight away, man, you're like, I see it like this, and I was like, you're right, man. You know what I mean? Like, I feel like I've been lying to myself in many ways about who I am or what I am, because I would just never thought about it. And anytime I'd get anxious, I just buried myself in my phone, or buried myself in something that required me to not have these uncomfortable discussions with myself to figure out who I am, why am I like this, what do I want to be, what makes me happy, where do I want to go in my life. And these were things I just needed to face, and I needed to change my environment. I brought in somebody new in my life. I'm dating somebody new, and my guardian angel, man. Fuck.
Are you laughing or crying? It looks like you're laughing.
Both.
Man.
I'm not trying to get emotional, man, but it's tough because you hide your emotion for so long from yourself, and then you talk about these things. It is challenging, man. You know what I mean?
Yeah. No, I understand. I think it's really important though to kind of like quantify the discussion, which is like, so many people in the world have like, either they live in a third world country where it's like they can't make much money, or they don't have rights, or they have to suffer discrimination, or even in first world countries that stuff happens, and like there are lots of people that don't ever get the opportunities you have. So when you're coming from like a framework that's like, what do I really want? What's the most important thing that will give me fulfillment in my life? You're coming from like a place of such like, such an advantage, you already have like, you've already kind of won the basic battle of like trying to survive, and you're able to find purpose. And so like that journey is actually like, it's amazing you have the opportunity to do that. And so you should try and take that journey on with like an understanding that, and a gratefulness that you get to go on that journey, cause like you get to really do what you want, Joey. Like you have like you don't have a boss,
Right.
You're self-employed. You can do whatever you want. You can play poker. You can make videos. You can do podcasts. You can do whatever you want to do. You have total flexibility. I know you've been working on your health a bunch. You have the opportunity to do that. It's important to frame the discussion in a way that's like, I mean, I'm not saying you're not grateful. I'm sure you are, but like to have some gratefulness that like you get to decide that. Like that's huge. You're in your 30s and you get to decide what's the most important thing in your life, and
Right.
structure your life around that. That is such a gift that I think it is important just to keep that in mind.
Yeah, I don't think I am grateful, unfortunately. That's something that I've realized as well, is that when you study these words, I don't even know what any of these words mean. Like grateful, I had no idea what that meant. I don't know what it means to be a good friend, in a healthy relationship, a good family member. A lot of things I just don't know, man. I've never studied. I've never really paid attention. When
what do you mean you never studied it? I don't understand what that means.
Just never studied, man. I've never read books. I've read a few books, but I've never really studied. I've never really mindfully paid attention to anything. I've never really been trying to get better at any of these things. I thought I was, but I wasn't. And the only thing I've ever really tried to get better at is poker. and get better at podcasting and get better at building a podcast or building a brand or building these sorts of things and trying to become a better person. But I never really understood what these words meant. And I never understood what a good person even is. Like, what does that mean? What a good friend is, what a good boyfriend is, any of these things like that.
Okay. Well, there's like a bunch of different topics there. I do think you know what these words mean. I think that you are someone that has compassion for people. I think that's very clear given the, 17th ACR video that you care about people to a fault. And so like, you do understand what this stuff means.
Right.
But there's a difference between like having not done this stuff as much as you would have liked to versus like not understanding what it is at all. I think about studies. Sure, maybe you didn't read a lot of books. I mean, frankly, I've tried to read books. I bought like some books people recommended. And I get a little bit into them, and then I just get really bored of them. So I have a hard time with that as well. But in terms of learning, like with poker, like all your ability in poker came from learning, it came from watching, it came from trying to understand, it came from talking to people. So like that is studying. It's maybe not studying in like. There's a difference between not doing something at all and not doing something up to the ability or like your own personal like goals, right? Like what you're really saying is, I feel like I didn't do these things enough. I didn't do them enough to get to where I wanted to go, or I didn't do them enough for my own satisfaction. And that's different. Those are different. I mean, you do know these things.
Good point. Yeah, I think that's really true, and I think that's where I feel like I've let myself down in a lot of ways, and that I know what I'm capable of. I know what my effort level could be, and I think it just comes down to that fear of this crippling fear that we have, where we don't plan. And we don't plan because then we can't fail because we never set an actual goal for ourselves. And once I learned what planning is, and I watched my first video on planning last night. I've never planned anything in my entire life where I've written down. I've said, here's what I need to do. Here's the steps I need to take. I've just never done a lot of these very simple, basic things that some people learn and some people never learn. And I've realized that I'm not alone in this situation, that a lot of people don't know this stuff. And I think these are things that I want my content to be featured on in the future, is just the process of learning these things. And I think that I have a great ability to learn things very quickly and pick up things very quickly, which is what makes me be able to have conversations with the people that I have conversation with, is because I'm able to listen to what they say, be mindful of what they're saying, and adapt that information to my mind and draw connections and then ask questions to learn more about it, because I'm very interested in learning everything I can, whether it's high level, low, any level of anything. I think these are the things I didn't know. Like why am I good at podcasting? I couldn't I had no idea, but I think it's just the passion I have for learning about things and getting people to open up and getting people to better understand themselves, and then allowing the audience to take that in as well, and hopefully learn and become a better person, become a healthier person, become someone who is able to achieve what it is that they want to achieve. And I just think I never really put this stuff together. And now that I have a clear picture on this, I feel like I'm able to identify what my vision for myself is and what the goals that I'd like to do are, and where I'd like to be in the future here. So it's
what are those goals? What are your goals for the future here?
I think my goals are to be more thoughtful immediately on the things that I do, meaning that be more of a planner, be more of an organizer, and really put my full effort and full focus into what it is I do, and exactly how those manifest itself in terms of specifics related to content. I'm not 100% sure. I think for me, it means being more mindful of the actual quality itself, the production quality itself, the marketing itself, putting more study and effort and building more of a team to help me out with these areas that I'm weaker in. And instead of being a fucking stubborn motherfucker who refuses to ask for help because they think that I need to do everything myself and I can't count on anyone, like that's just not true. I have to count on people. You have to. Like that's how things go. If you want to take on more in your life, and if you want to have fulfilling life and fulfilling relationships, you have to do this shit, man. You have to deal with their results. That's how things work. And I just haven't wanted to do that because I just said, well, I'm the only one that can do it. It's just delusion is what it is. And I think that's one big goal, is to just be a lot more thoughtful and mindful with what I'm doing and be more focused on the task at hand, even when it comes to my workouts, when it comes to my diet right now, when it comes to helping people out. And honestly, one of the biggest goals is just doing what I say, being a man of my word, living with integrity to myself and to other people, and saying no when I need to say no, and dealing with the uncomfortability that comes from not being able to help everybody out. And honestly, man, when I get messages from people, I feel awful because I want to help everyone. I want to give a great advice. I want to give you some answer. I want to be able to do these things, but I haven't been able to do that in the past. And I honestly don't know how to think about it. And I know you deal with that a lot too, and I know you have a good framework for that. And I know that we just tell ourselves like we just simply can't help everyone, but it's tough for me to deal with that because I'd like to help everyone out that messages me.
Yeah, but dude, there are too many people, and like, this is one of the sad truths. Like especially when I first started getting into doing content, and people would reach out to me, I'd help out more people, and then the number of people becomes too big, and then there are too many people that are looking for your time, and then your time becomes a very like scarce resource.
Yeah.
And like, look, like every now and then I'll still try and help people out when I can, but like it can't, like, you live once, like you should make sure that you're finding fulfillment in the things that are important to you.
Mm-hmm.
And if you have some time, help people out. That's great. But like, it can't be like, you wake up and say, how can I serve people today? Like you have to live your life,
Yeah.
You have to live your life. Like you can't just let that control you. You can't let that dictate you. Also, one thing that I think is hard too is like, at least I've always felt like this. I assume it's similar for you. You don't want to be a dick to people. You don't want people to be like, to get really upset or mad at you or blame you. But like, people are going to do that too. Like there's like not that much that you can control about that either. Like you can't help everybody. Mm-hmm. Some people are going to think you're a dick because of that. Like, so what?
Well,
like
obviously we've talked about that in the past, and that's something that I've been aware of in terms of not wanting to make people upset or wanting everybody to like you or these sorts of things like that. And I think I figured out sort of where that comes from in my life. And I think it maybe thinks in my mind, I think that's what a good person is. A good person is someone who does things that other people like. And I've tried to mold myself to become that person that lives by what I think is a good person and what other people associate with a good person, unfortunately, and not really being aware of, okay, what do I personally think makes up a good person? And that's something I admire about you, is that even though you're going to have people out there who are going to talk some shit, who are going to say things that they're not like you or they don't agree with what you're saying, you stand up for what you believe in, and you have beliefs, and you say, okay, listen, like, not everybody's going to like me. I don't need everybody to like me. I know this isn't always going to be popular, but this is who I am. This is what I am. If you like me, cool. If not, then fuck you, right? Like that. And I think for me, that's something that I haven't really ever came to grips with. Even though the negative comments have never bothered me, they motivate me super hard. But at the same time, I've always been like, well, do you really? I don't want to make people upset. Do this, do that. But I think now, like, you just got to be yourself. I feel like not being myself is driving me a little nuts. And even this, right? I'm showing emotion. I've never done it before in my life. Like, but I know people aren't going to like it. Some people are going to say, go cry here, go do that. It is what it is, right? If they don't like it, they can leave me the fuck alone and go do something else. That type of thing.
So from an outside perspective, like looking in on just like your the way that you've handled like your social presence and your videos and the topics you choose and all that stuff, I actually do think you've always just tried to say what's important to you, regardless of its impact. But I think the difference is that the impact has gotten to you a chunk of the time. Mm-hmm. So then you put yourself in the shoes of the person that if it's negative towards someone or makes someone look bad, you start to feel bad for that person. Then you don't want to do it because you feel bad for them. Because we've had that exact conversation before where like there's something that you think needs to be said and you're like, but I really don't want it to hurt this person, or like because you care about people a lot. I mean, like to a fault, probably you care about people and like how they're going to take things, and like even if someone has done something that you think should be talked about or isn't okay, you still don't want to hurt that person. And I think that's like probably the difference between us has always been in those spots. Like if it's something that I really feel like needs to be said, I say it, and then like if people want to hate me forever for what I said, then so be it. But like I think you tried to have a lot more compassion there, which is good. I mean, you like undoubtedly there are spots that a more compassionate approach would be better, and then there are spots where you just have to not care, and there's like a balance there that you have to strike, and I think the main thing is like you have to worry less about like if you're going to do what you're doing now, and that's not what you necessarily have to do, but if you're going to have podcasts, if you're going to talk about like what's happening in poker, if you're going to talk about what's happening in other industries, whatever you plan on doing, you have to be able to talk about what's happening without fear of, will people be okay with that? Will the person that I'm talking about, how they feel that I said something? You can't live like that, because then you have to walk in eggshells, and then it's going to cause you all this stress and all of this anxiety and all of this like clutter to you achieving what you're trying to do. And so I think that's really the difference. But I've never felt like you weren't willing to say things if you really thought you had to. Right. I mean, you've done that a bunch of times.
I think that's a good point, is that I always felt that way too, because something we talked about, right? The idea of sitting on the fence a lot. And a lot of times I've thought about that deeply because a lot of people have said that. And I said, well, that's true because I don't really believe one way or the other there. Like I love theories and ideas, and I don't necessarily, just because I say a theory or idea doesn't mean I really believe in that theory or idea. And the things I deeply believe in, I'm very willing to speak about them. ACR, for instance, or just becoming a winning poker player in general, how to get great at Pot Limit Omaha. These are things that I will speak with belief in because I really believe these things and I feel like I have an understanding of these things deeply. But a lot of the things that we might talk about, or a lot of the things that happen in poker, I just don't I don't really care that much about, right? Like if someone does this, that, yeah, I don't want them to do that, but it's like, I haven't cared enough about a lot of these subjects to have a deep belief one way or the other, which then results in me sort of sitting on the fence just because in my mind, I happily discuss it and I'm happy to give an opinion on it. But am I going to think about it after we stop discussing? And I'm not going to think about it at all. So I think that's where it leads me to sort of have that approach on different topics.
Yeah,
and I don't really take a stance one way or the other on a lot of different things.
Yeah, I mean, we've frankly both been at that intersection for a while now. This is not something that's new.
Mm-hmm.
I can personally say I don't find analyzing poker hands that interesting, which, you know, when that's what I do most days is kind of funny. I do enjoy like some of the news stuff in poker and like trying to work jokes into stuff. To be honest, Joey, what I like most about poker content is I like just like going for the lulz, man. That's what I like. That aspect of taking something that's like a real story, kind of breaking it down and like making some jokes. That's what I like. The poker itself, I'm not interested in anymore, and that's a hard task to balance. You know, since let's actually kind of get into this subject.
Actually, I just want to finish that topic, and then we're going to get into what you're saying. So I just want to start off like that. I didn't intend for all people out there for that to be that long. I really need to get that off my chest. Obviously, you can tell I've been thinking about it for months. I haven't made a video for months. I haven't posted, barely posted at all. All I've been doing is studying, talking with my girl, and just trying to really figure out myself and get a better perspective on life. So I appreciate Doug. You know, people in the chat said Doug isn't the person. Doug's the perfect person to talk to about this, man. So if you don't have, you want to have friends that are able to give you perspective like this in your life, this is very important for you to have. So if you don't have someone like that in your life, you got to find people like that in your life. So, but yeah, let's move on. Let's kind of talk about this because this is definitely one of the number one things I want to discuss with you. So let's get into that.
Yeah. Okay. So let's talk about the prop bet that we talked about last time.
Okay. The prop bet, 120 videos in 120 days, 80 videos for you, 40 for me.
Right. Okay. So two things. First off, how many days do we have left? Was it like 20?
I believe it's October 14th or something of that nature.
Okay. So we're coming down the stretch a little bit.
Right.
And then second off, actually there's three things really. Second off, if I do 80 videos, I'm not jumping out of that plane. You can jump out of the plane. I'll see you on the ground. Okay. Second off. Third off.
I disagree personally.
Third.
Listen, you're jumping out of the fucking plane. I'm sorry.
I'm not paying for your. I'm not Jesus, Joey. I'm not dying on the cross for your sins. Anyway,
you're jumping out. You're not dying. You're jumping out of a plane. You're not dying. You're not killing yourself. You're not jumping to your death.
Hopefully.
Okay.
Third thing.
Sure.
You know, so I think that there's some beauty in like just getting the repetition of doing a lot of content and kind of seeing what happens and kind of learning about it and learning about yourself and learning about what you're putting out there. And so over the course of the past few months, I made a lot of poker videos. I think I did like 20 or 25 in a row. I did a bunch during the main, kind of on and off in between. I don't know what number I'm at. If I had to guess, I've done 40 or 50 videos, something like that over that period of time. I've done a few outside of poker as well. I've been doing a very wide variety of videos. And I've kind of come to some conclusions. The first conclusion is that I really do like making videos. I like it. I like putting something out there into the world that people watch and like. Agree. I like that experience. I do. I really enjoy it. Second thing is I don't enjoy poker.
Right.
Much at all. I really don't. I find it kind of boring. I find it repetitive. I find that like a lot of the times, like, you know, it's just I just question, you know, why am I really doing it to begin with?
Okay, so now listen, this is all right up my alley. I never would have followed up on these specific things, but these are the things I greatly enjoy right now. So let's talk about your poker, right? And I want to actually go back to something that you tweeted out after the main event, and we're going to start with that. So you said, and I think this is a correlation. I have a pretty good idea of why you feel this way, and and I think this all is going to tie in with where I'm going with this. So you said July 5th, Doug Polk, I'm out, guys. Punting off the rest of my chips. Can't even play poker well anymore. Playing gives me really bad anxiety, and while I'm there, I just want to leave. I only played this summer because I didn't want to let you guys down. Common theme here. Not going to play again. Sorry, everybody. So now, when you say you get really bad anxiety playing, what do you mean by that? And where does that come from?
So there's two things that happen when I play now. The first is I sit down and immediately on the inside, like I'm like, I really don't want to be here. Like I want to be anywhere else. And that immediately sets in when I sit down. And so I get into a lot of spots where I'm in a hand and then like some stuff's happening. And I think, well, if I lose, I get to go home. And that seems like a lot, like that will give me happiness. Mm-hmm. And so I'm weighing happiness versus the EV of decisions. And it's just not possible. It's just not possible to play well under that. Like during the main, I was doing just such insane stuff just to hope I could bust. Like open queen 3 suited for mid, get 3-bet, 4-bet the guy, like just dumb shit. And I was just hoping I bust so I could go home, so I could say I played the event so that my fans would be happy that I played. That's why I was there.
So where this anxiety, does this come from? This comes from the
the
unhappiness you
have. One of two
poker.
things.
Right.
It's one of two things. So it's that, and then the second thing is that I know that I'm not the poker player I used to be.
Right.
And I also know that people are a lot better. I'm not like totally unaware of like my surroundings, like some old school pros that think they're the shit still. I'm not going to name names, but we know that they're out there.
First of all, let's let them live.
Oh yeah,
man.
let's not do bang bangs.
Let them live, man. We
anyway,
assault them because they're not aware of self-awareness.
That's fine.
Let them live.
That's fine. But I have the self-awareness to know that. Like I'm not as good as I once was, and people are a lot better. And so when I also get into spots, and then there's this like sort of like self-introspection that happens where like you raise and get 3-bet and like the construction of that 3-bet range or the continue versus 3-bet range, like the allocation of 4-bet frequency, like the total like understanding of how those ranges intersect and the way that strategies exist.
It's not as sharp anymore.
Across that continuum. It's not as sharp.
Right.
And so not only am I unhappy to be there, I'm starting to get in these situations where Doug 3-4 years ago says, this is what we do. This is why we do it. Whereas today's Doug not only has not improved that, but also can't really quite remember exactly what it was before. Mm-hmm. I am not as sharp as I used to be. I'm not. I mean, I'm totally honest about that. I'm fine with that. I don't need people to think that I'm one of the highest stakes crushers of the world anymore. I'm not, obviously. I don't even play. So the feeling of being unhappy combined with this feeling of I am like hundreds, if not thousands of hours away from once again being world class, I don't want to do it. And then I'm like, okay, if I want to be great again, you want to do 1,000 hours with some solvers, really break down some ranges, look at some people's how they play online, put in some sample, crunch those numbers, and I could not think of something I would like to do less. Mm-hmm. And so that combination of those two things, the unhappiness and how and the fact that I'm no longer one of the best players, I don't want to go on that journey anymore. I went on that journey. I had a great time. I'm thankful that journey exists. I still do think if people want to put the time into becoming great at poker, you can make a lot of money. I'm done with that journey. I'm not.
Why do you think you're done with that journey, Doug? What happened? What happened to get you to this point where you believe that you're done with this journey?
Well, so a few things. I accomplished what I wanted to accomplish. Mm-hmm. The game types that I enjoyed were taken away and removed. Software has made the game very unfun for me. One of the things I really liked about poker was like you had to figure shit out, you know, like me back in the days when it was like you were four-tabling or battling someone. You had to like pull up your sample versus them. How are they playing? How are they reacting to this? What strats make sense? Mm-hmm. And you had to figure shit out, right? You had to figure it out. And if you had some holes in your game, people would fuck you up until you figured it out. Okay. I made so much money like that. People had clear holes in their games. And now it's not like that. Now it's like, who will spend more time memorizing solver work? That sucks. It sucks. It absolutely sucks. I mean, like, I'm
for you.
I think it sucks for poker.
For poker.
I think it sucks for poker. Look, like, do you think like you think about Wild West gamblers and shit back in the day? Like, if it was like solved, then the game would be dead today. That's the issue. The issue is like the software has advanced strategies to the point where it's like, you know, where are we at? Like I look at like the stuff we're doing on Upswing for the lab, And so we would bring in a few new coaches that are really up to date on all the solver work, and they're great and they really know their stuff. And like I look at like these videos that they're making that are really in depth and break down exact frequencies on board texture and the way that all this stuff functions. And I'm just like, I don't find this interesting anymore. I don't, I don't. Do you? I don't even think you find that interesting.
Well, as someone who's been studying a lot more game theory in general and solvers, I find it fascinating to see how the strategies will develop over time and to see what kind of strategies people are going to build when they combine the solver outputs with an exploitative approach to things as well too. And I'm excited to see exactly where the deviations will come in terms of the strategy. And I think what's going to happen is that as the solver strategy becomes more understandable for a wider audience, and as more players are then employing a more of a solver strategy approach on different board textures and different situations, you're going to see that strategy trickle down to this sort of middle class, a person who will never actually study themselves, but they'll pick it up intuitively off of what others do. And then you're going to have the lower class, which is the recreational players who get slightly better, but those players that are hopeless, like they're fucked very badly if they play against the wrong players. Like they have absolutely no chance because
Dead.
once you've studied the deviations, I mean, and we talk about, we say this like it's easy to do. It's not easy to really do this, because to get the right answer from the solver, you have to ask the right question, and you have to know how to ask the right question. Then you have to ask all the different variations of that question and understand the deviations for the ranges and for the potential bet sizes. And in a way, it's interesting, but it's very different than obviously what me and you came to love as poker and the things that we enjoyed about it. So I don't want to say that I think poker is boring or this or that because things have changed. And I think it's just because me and you have changed as human beings, and we are people who push ourselves to become great at what we do. And we aspire to live up to our full potential. And once we've achieved something, we start to look for, okay, like what else can we achieve? And I think what we've come to realize is that there is so much opportunity out there in this world of things that we would be great at. And I think that me and you both have belief in ourselves to the point that we believe we can do anything we want to do if we put our mind to it and we're willing to learn how to do it. And I think once you have that understanding, you then say, okay, well, what kind of life would I like to build for myself? And then you say, okay, well, what was it about poker that I really enjoyed? The freedom, the entrepreneurship, the ability to make money. Then when you say, what didn't I like about poker? The way it made me feel when I would lose, the isolation, the lack of fulfillment potentially in what I did. Then you start to look outside of poker and say, well, I can get all of those positives in many different ways. I can have community. I can have fulfillment. I can work together with people. I don't have to be in isolation. A losing day of content is 150,000 people watch my videos. A losing day of poker is I lose $200,000. Like, listen, I understand that that's a part of the game, but I think that's a big thing that's happened to us is we've just realized, like, man, the world is at our fingertips. We can choose whatever we want to do. We can find the best things that we like about poker, and we can find the best things that we like about life, and we can combine those things together. So for us, I just don't think it means that poker is any less amazing, because poker is such a beautiful fucking game. It's amazing. Even when we talk about solvers, you go play live, like this isn't existing. The players are bad. If you're at a 2-5 game and you ever say this is a hard 2-5 game, you need to hit the fucking lab, because you shouldn't. I heard people say that, Doug. Guys, listen, if you go to the 2-5 game and you say this game's hard, it's unbeatable game, like you're a fucking donk. I'm just telling you that right now, right? And you got to study, work at your game, get a coach, get something out there, because you should never go to the 2-5 game to win and say this is a tough 2-5 game. All right? You're doing a disservice to yourself. All right? Get out there in the lab, get in a course, watch Doug's videos. These are the GOAT fucking hand breakdowns for free out there. The guy made a thousand videos out there in a very articulate way where any player of any level can have an understanding and pick up something from one of Doug's videos, something he does very well, whether he's aware of that or not, or whether you're aware of that or not. He explains things in a way that any level of poker player, whether you're a new player, whether you're advanced, or whether you're one of the best, you can learn something from the videos. And I think that's what makes the video special. And the information's out there. It's just a matter of you going out there and finding it and putting that effort to do it.
I appreciate that, Joey.
Well,
It's a nice thing to say. No, I do appreciate that.
I'll follow up on that in a sec, but I kind of went off topic a little bit there, but that's something that I've been thinking. I've been studying this, right? I've been studying why are the people who are great at what they do? Why is Doug, like what makes Doug Polk so good at what he does, right? Because we have a hand. We break down a hand. And, well, listen, I can break down a hand right now. How many people are going to watch it, right? If someone else breaks down a hand, no one gives a fuck. No one cares. But Doug breaks down a hand, people care. They want to watch it. They learn a lot from it. What is it that Doug does that other people don't do? And I think it's a few different things. I think obviously the first part is you have the ability to communicate, the ability to have a high energy, and you bring a positive environment to it. You're excited to talk about it. You're excited to help someone else out. That excitement is contagious through the screen. I think one of the most important things is that the articulation is on a level that is really unbelievable in a lot of ways. Your ability to articulate any situation in a very simple way that anyone can understand. I think that's just a very huge thing. And that's something I've been thinking about is just anyone of any skill level can pick something up. And the knowledge that you have to get to that point is something that a lot of people don't get to. And I would question you in that, how much of a focus is it for you to be able to articulate things at the level that you can articulate things at? And how important do you think that is for your ability to have success at whatever it is that you do?
So there's a fundamental difference between the content that I've made and most of the other people, or if not all the other people, on two fronts. The first front is as far as like the actual quality of the video goes, my videos are much higher quality. I have an amazing editor. He's fantastic. He's great at putting in jokes. Shout out to Thomas. Obviously, like, I put a lot of like effort into like the audio and video and all of that stuff. So from like a quality perspective, I think they tend to be much better. And then I also think the second thing is like most of the people making these videos have not actually played high stakes poker. They have not like actually made millions of dollars playing poker. And so, like, I think, especially initially, not as much nowadays, but I think initially, a lot of people thought that it was cool to have someone that like really knows how to play poker, teaching them how to play poker. I think that was a draw. And then I think like it became more about like the presenting style and like the overall, the production of it more than the information itself. But it's kind of a two-part thing. So I think that blend is what's important. But I do think other people could do it quite successfully. They just have to work on their packaging, work on the way that they edit it together, work on the quality of those videos, work on like other people could do it for sure. I mean, there are people that could do a great job, I'm sure. But it's just a little bit different when there are people that have not actually played high stakes doing it, I think.
Yeah, I agree with that completely. I think that gives you that confidence to back up what you're saying as well. I think confidence is a big thing, and the belief that what you're saying is accurate. And also, I think that a big deterrent for people is the criticism that you're going to get from the audience as well. And I think that you're able, and me, I think this is something that I really haven't thought about a lot, is that what separates people from having success in a content space is that you have to deal with criticism and you have to get yourself to enjoy it in a lot of ways. And I think for me, like I said, I've always been motivated by criticism. I love feedback, even if it comes from a place where they're like, I fucking hate you, I want you to die. Like, and I know, but I still like,
we've gotten a few of those along the way.
100%. But listen, these guys aren't telling me I'm the worst, I'm the meanest person in myself. I've said all these things to myself, and I've questioned these things to myself before. So when you say anything about me, I'm like, yeah, listen, I'm with you. I don't disagree that I've thought about this plenty of times. But I think a lot of people out there, and rightfully so, do not want to deal with this criticism. They don't want to deal with this negativity. And that's one thing that holds them back from doing content, because they see out there, a lot of it's very negative. So you have to have that thick skin to say, all right, whatever, like, fuck off. I'm going to do this. I believe in what I'm doing. And that attitude's very important for content.
I gotta say, this one guy, when you announced that we were doing a podcast,
let's read.
I want to read this because
comment.
I honestly loved this tweet.
Okay.
So Joey announced that him and me are doing another podcast, and then the guy responds a couple tweets, and this tweet individually is just amazing. I swear on my dead family's grave, I'd rather punch myself in the fucking balls 15 times then listen to another boring-ass pod switching back and forth between Doug's fuckboy haircut and your vacation-style hat and Hawaiian shirt. That's cool, but Doug's not. I mean, I just, it's hard to imagine somebody was that passionate. Like, you fired out, like, okay, we're doing a podcast with Doug, and someone was like, oh no, we're not fucking doing that. And then, like, this is actually creative. Like, honestly.
Yeah. So I actually want to hire, so I'm expanding my team. I'd love to bring Keith on the writing team, because I like, first of all, I appreciate that people are that passionate about sharing their disdain for me having Doug on. Doug, why do you think people feel this way? What is it about you that people seem to dislike if I announce podcast and they're like, no, like not this guy again? Why? You're
Well,
like,
it's
what?
two things.
Okay.
First off, I have been on this podcast an absurd number of times.
True.
Understandable.
Okay.
Second off, I have been a little more polarizing within the community overall. If you happen to be a fan of, let's just say, 5 to 7 people in the poker world, you're not a Doug fan. So, there's that. Like, it's going to be more polarizing, I think, than normal. But, like, going back to talking about, like, just criticism in general, it's one of those things you definitely have to balance. I think, like, understanding sort of, like, population sentiment is important, like, for the construction of good content and learning and improving it. But, like, getting hung up on individual people, like, telling you to do whatever, like, you just can't. Like, I try to limit the overall amount of comments I read that are about me. And we talked a little bit about this in the last podcast, I think. But the thing is, if you start to read too much about yourself online, it just gets to be, you're not going to want to go there. Because then you have to microanalyze yourself after every little thing, and, like, that's just not how you want to live. I really try to limit the amount of comments I read. Otherwise, it's just too much.
How do you feel about positive comments, Doug? How do you take that inside?
Positive comments are great. And one thing I try to do when I get positive comments, I try to be more likely to, like, like on YouTube, you can put a little button that shows you like it, or, like, respond to that person or say thank you. Like, I think it's important to kind of to balance it out. And also realize that, like, positive comments are people that are really happy and enjoy what you make and enjoy what you put out in the world. So I would say that they're one of the best parts of making content is seeing the actual people that are happy about what you made and are part of the community. I love that. Like, there's this one guy on my channel who, like, posts every video I put out on I don't know how many videos he's done it for, 5, 10, 20 at this point. Something, it's a bigger number. I put up a video and he's in there in the first hour and he says, Doug Polk is the best poker player and poker YouTuber of all time. And he posts it every video. And so I just know that guy's going to be in the mix with that again. And that's sweet, like, he obviously, like, cool. when you see that someone is, like, when someone is that committed to, like, that's a good feeling. Like, you like to see that. So there's a balance there. You gotta try and balance your reading comments range.
Your reading comments range. I like that.
Yeah.
I go with that. Yeah, I feel like the positive comments for me have, I don't know, man. I think in the past, like in the past time, I was just, I wasn't really happy with myself in a lot of ways. And I read these positive comments, I'm more like, well, they clearly aren't seeing what I'm seeing in some ways. Like, they're not seeing me not performing to my potential, and they're not seeing the whole picture, and they're not inside my head. So the positive comments, in a way, like, were kind of fucking with me a little bit too, because I felt like they were undeserved in some capacity as well. And I'm just my harshest critic, I think, and I've held myself to a high standard in the past, and I think that's something moving forward I need to be more compassionate with myself about too, and not be so mean to myself when I speak about these things, because I think that is one of the greatest things, is that you have people out there all around the world who watch your content, and it makes them happy, or it helps them get better at life, or get better at poker, or be a healthy individual, or have better relationships, or think about their job differently, or think about poker differently. So I have to remind myself of that. Like, that's something that is very, very, very cool to have, and it's a very unique experience to have. And I take that very seriously, and I take the idea of influence very seriously. And I like to be careful of what I'm influencing people to be like and do. And I understand not everybody takes it as seriously as I do, and they put up things that are negative and toxic, and that are going to be hurtful to people if they follow that advice. But that's personally what I try not to do, and not really where I want to go with my content in the future.
So where is the future of your content going? And by the way, how many videos have you actually made over this 120 days? Has it been 3?
I think I made 6, and this is 7.
6. Okay, 7.
So I think I'm gonna put up some NBA 2K vids on a new NBA 2K channel as well, okay, because I think that I think I'm one of the best NBA 2K triple threat players. It exists in my team right now. So I'm willing to wreck some motherfuckers, and I'm willing to help teach people out. I think I have the ability to be a world-class teacher in terms of the way I can articulate, and the way I can break things down, and the way I can take people through the learning process step by step, and talk about, okay, here is how you learn anything, and here is how you can learn anything in a very short period of time to gain some understanding, and then repeat that process along the way for anything that you want to learn. So I think that for myself, my content for right now is going to be poker. We have podcasts lined up. We got my man Bill Perkins Wednesday. We got my man Rob Young on Friday. We got a Gus Hansen pod and a Fedor Holes pod I recorded back in July. I have my man Nick Schulman next Monday. Scott Seaver coming up next Tuesday. We got Jason Somerville coming up, talk about what he's doing with running up Reno.
It's a big lineup.
Yeah, man. Listen, I know how to put together a lineup. That's for sure. I know how to get guests. I know how to think about those sorts of things like that. And I think the other content is going to be some sort of exploring more of philosophical ideas that maybe have no answer. And now we can debate a topic, an example, but you think we have an answer, but we could debate it. More Rake is better, right? Maybe more Rake's not better. Maybe more Rake is better. How can more Rake be better? Just taking things like that, really diving deep into them. Maybe more things that have more of a scientific background, more of a psychological background too, that are unrelated to those ideas. But just going deeper into these ideas, these questions people have, whether they're general, whether they're advanced. I want to really improve my production quality, and I want to include some new ideas that I picked up for including other people in those videos as well too. Just basically explore all these questions that I've written down over the years related to poker that I'd like to know a little more about and study for myself. So I think it'll be more of learning type of content. Yeah, don't promise much. I agree. It'll be learning type of content. It'll be less dramatic stuff, less news stuff, less of like Daniel Negreanu said Doug Polk can fucking hit him in the face. Like less of that sort of stuff. Less about Daniel Negreanu's. Less about Negreanu's gonna have a child. Like less about that sort of gossipy type of stuff, and more focused on things that are helpful to people.
Okay, that seems good. I'm on the fence myself about what direction of content I want to go. I'm definitely going to be doing more because like right now I have to make a lot of content because I'm short on the clock here. So I've been doing a lot of poker content because it's like a lot easier for me to make, and I've already built out the process, and I've got like a team of people to help me put stuff together. So it's like it's much easier to make. So I'm kind of just like, especially while I'm focusing on health a lot lately, just really trying to get my health in a good place, bang out some vids, and like work and just kind of like keep that process moving. And then I think at the conclusion of this, I'm probably going to try to branch out and do some other videos. I've said that before. I didn't end up going as ham in it. Obviously, I did some crypto stuff a bit. I made a few videos recently on my other channel where it's about football or video games, whatever stuff I was interested in.
I saw a little you got Doug, I don't know how you do this, buddy. I don't know how you do this, man. You make one fucking you're in the CSGO drama. How do you do this?
That was weird.
That
was honestly weird.
With the CSGO community. What's going on here?
So one of the commentators in the CSGO scene, he loves just saying absolute like these guys suck or whatever. And like I was watching and it was like talking about like the second best team in the world that had been the best for a long time, and he was saying like, oh, they're like, and I was like, yeah, like, and I tweeted, I was like, is it just me or is this guy really annoying? Like he's talking about the second best team in the world. It would be like saying like, you know, the NFL equivalent, it would be like, oh man, the Rams are toast. Like they suck now. Or the Chiefs are terrible. Like they're just like not what they used to be. You know, it'd be like saying like one of the best teams. And so I tweeted and I was like at this guy, like, is it me? He's really annoying. This team is the second best in the world. And if you don't believe that, I'll bet you like a large sum of money on it. Knowing I probably wouldn't get action. I mean, very unlikely to get action, but would be nice because like obviously I would make money. And so the guy like fires back like really just like aggro shit, and then all of the other people in the CSGO community, like some of like the bigger names, like, oh fuck Doug, like just fuck off, and like some of them are like yelling at like tweeting at my fans, like telling them like you have mental fucking issues, like what's your fucking and I'm like, man, like it's so weird because you think about poker and sometimes people think like poker can be immature or like the audience can be you know, or some of the people can be dicks or whatever. And then to see like the biggest analyst names just going ham on some 80 follower account that's like, I like Doug. And like, they're just like, it's unreal. It's not like in the middle of their major event. It would be like during the World Series of Poker, if Phil Hellmuth was tweeting at a Joe Ingram fan that like he needs to like shut the fuck up because he's got mental health problems. That's the equivalent of what was happening in the Counter-Strike community over one tweet that I made. It was unreal, to be honest with you. Frankly, I was like shocked. And I think it was just like because it was like one of the bigger people tweeted it, and then I kind of fell down the ranks. And I think it's like a little bit of like when someone attacks like your community or like someone in your community, they band together. poker not like that. I'm sure if you said like fuck Doug Polk, like yeah, fuck that, I can get behind. It would be less like that, I think, in poker. But just to see sort of like the immaturity of it, I know it's a video game, so it has a younger audience, but a lot of these guys are like 30 years old, 32 years old. Like, this is like just it was pretty shocking, I would say. I definitely got more mentions that day than I had in a while. It was a spicy day on Twitter, Joey.
So you enjoyed that, correct? I'm assuming, right?
I mean, like,
you like mixing it up. That's I don't think there's anything wrong with that. You like mixing it up like that.
If people want to like come at me about just like they think that I suck or like whatever, I really don't care. Like, that just doesn't bother me. The only things that bother me are when people like lie about me or like say things that, basically the only things that would annoy me are just lies. Because then it's like, no, I don't want people to think that this thing someone's saying about me is true when it's clearly a lie. But if you're just like, yeah, Doug's a fuck face, like, I mean, it's kind of funny, honestly. Mm-hmm. Is it really that big of a deal? Like you just like angered like 200,000 people because like you tweeted someone's annoying? Is that upsetting to you? I don't really find that. I don't really care. I don't know. Maybe
I don't find it annoying either. I mean, it's interesting that took place. I follow the Fortnite community, and these are the most immature. All these people do is complain. I thought poker, like, people complain a little bit. In these esports, they complain about every fucking thing. These guys love, and what happens is it's like the top players like love complaining. So then everyone just acts like the top players. So if you have a top player saying certain words and acting a certain way, like every other little streamer and little player that's below them talks the same way. It's so strange. You'll have like a 100 viewer guy is going to talk similar to the 1,000 viewers, going to talk similar to here. Even like the other people who are popular, who have their own personality, they adopt those same styles and same words. It's very interesting how that works out. But one thing they all have in common is they love to fucking complain about the game. Complain about what happened, complain about how the game rigged them, complain about, it's never themselves, never they messed up. It's just the game. It's always the game's fault. And I find that very fascinating in the Fortnite community specifically. So I don't know how, maybe CSGO is very similar in that regard.
I think it's different in CSGO because it's there's like less RNG in
that makes
CSGO
sense.
Overall. There's like a little bit, but it's still like a smaller amount. I mean, I think about poker. What's cool about poker is if you're someone that really gets upset by the fact that a jack came out and like, what are the chances of that? You're legitimately never getting to the highest stakes anyway. So your opinion is like, I mean, it's not totally relevant, but like, it's like basically relevant. If you're the guy that's like, you're not going to believe this. I got all in with 2 10s against pocket kings and I flopped a 10 and then a king came on the river. It's just like, you just wasted 15 seconds.
Unreal.
You know what I'm saying? You just wasted 50 seconds. So it's like, the thing about video games is because it's not for money. Like, this is a cool topic, I think, overall, Joey. When things aren't for money, it lets people be donks, right? And that's why, like, I think it's back to kind of this argument with the CSGO guys was like, odds are a thing. And a lot of them think that odds aren't a thing. Like, if someone at a sports book is a 2-to-1 favorite, it doesn't mean they're a 2-to-1 favorite if you choose to not believe that. If you think that different, then you're actually right. And those are just odds. Those don't really matter. They're just the odds.
Mm-hmm.
I'm talking about who's going to win. It's like they're the same thing. Even if you don't want to believe them, those odds and those markets exist for a reason. And if those markets are very inefficient, there's opportunity for profit by people that are looking for profit. And so thus, like, betting markets become quite efficient. This is like the process that has evolved over time. The more volume a betting market has, the more efficient it tends to be because the people that are good at it stand to make more money. This is just how markets work, essentially. And then you see people are like, well, I choose to not believe that. It's like, okay, so you choose to be an idiot, but like it's like this in sports too. And people see like someone's an 80% favorite. You're like, oh no, I really think that the Niners are going to beat him this week. It's like, okay, but again, there are odds and these are frequencies. And so like, maybe you could disagree, like, in terms of like, it's not 80, it's like 82 or it's 76. It's not 50 or whatever dumb shit you want to believe. And the public has a real problem with that. Like that's not fun. That's not cool. And like, those guys don't know what they're talking about. So the difference is that the people that think those things aren't betting money. Or if they are, they're losing their money. And so like anything where money is involved really makes the overall ecosystem more efficient, and it's fun to see those worlds kind of collide. I personally enjoy that a lot, actually.
So I guess the main takeaway is that we should start a sports book. Is that, I feel like that's what your main takeaway was, is that we should have a sports book because people are big donks and they're gonna be giving away a lot of money.
Yeah, if you could have a popular sports book, that's probably a good place to be.
Shout out to Mike Timex McDonald, who has actually done something like that with poker shares as well. I know he is.
That's true.
I don't know what's public or not. I don't want to. I think he's doing some sports betting stuff in the future. I don't know if this is officially this not. I'm pretty sure he's looking to expand. I don't know if that's a secret or not, but yeah, I think he's going to be doing some pretty big things, and I'm excited for him. I'm always excited to see what Mike does.
Mike's
guys
a smart guy.
Mike. Yeah, man. I love seeing guys like that branch out. I like the guys that are starting more businesses in poker. I mean, everyone's a fucking coach now, man. Everyone's a trainer. Everyone's got a course. They saw how well Upswing did, and they're like, oh, I'm going to create my own master pass course and master speaker course and all this. There's, you know what I mean? There's all these courses now out there as well. And I think it's exciting to see poker players branch out and try their hand in entrepreneurship, whether it's in poker and other spaces as well too. My buddy George Sintaj, he has a cannabis paraphernalia company called Ooze Life based out of Michigan. It was recently ranked in one of the fastest up and coming companies in one of the magazines. Can't remember the specifics of it, but it was one of the only cannabis companies that was listed on there. So, you know, this is a guy who used to play poker. He was 13 years old online. He was battling the Krantz and White Lime on 2 months, $2 million. And he was always an entrepreneur from a young age. And now he's really making it for himself out there in the mainstream entrepreneurship world. And I think it's just really cool to see things like that take place from these former poker players. I think it's awesome.
Yeah, totally agree.
Yeah, man.
I mean, like, if you're smart enough to get to the top of poker, you're probably a very sharp person with good work ethic and discipline, and like that, you know, and you're willing to take risk. I mean, I think like poker players, like successful poker players, most of them are very well built to kind of succeed in other areas if they so choose to. Now, there is like a class of poker player that is just like very good at poker and the way that it functions, but doesn't have their shit together. Really great example. This is Stu Unger. No, I don't know. I've
all hit myself before. I feel like that could have been. But I guess
Stu Unger, Joey. Like, I could go either way on that one. No, there are people that like naturally are very talented at poker, but don't have their shit together. And those guys go on some wild rides, man. They go on some wild ass rides. But most people, especially the people that are in their like 20s and 30s, when it comes to poker, they had to get there by turning a small amount of money into where they are today. And so like to do that takes hard work, discipline, and ability. And so those guys are sharp. And I think that you can see that when they try to do other things, that it tends to go well compared to how it would go for like a more normal population of people trying entrepreneurship. I think it's, yeah.
A question that we were talking about last night, we were brainstorming for topics for the podcast, was do you think that people get over poker at some point in time once they've had success? Do you think it's a matter of an inevitability, or do you think that there is a certain type of person who maybe just stays in poker forever because they have a community here, they have friends, their friends all like poker, they're still doing well? So what is it you think that, because we've seen a lot of people come and go in terms of they had high stakes success and then they say, okay, I've had enough. So why do you think that happens to players out there when they've reached that level and say, okay, I'm gonna go back to school, like Raptor, David Benefield, go back to school for a bunch of years and live a more of a, I guess, a different scale of life sort of thing, and a different competitive environment and a different community?
Well, the thing is, like, there are so many fields where the ceiling is much bigger than poker. Like poker, I think I've said this before in this podcast, but poker is a really great way to go from having nothing to having $1 million, I think. And I think it's a pretty terrible way to go from having $1 million to 10 or 20 or 30 or whatever, depending what your goals and aspirations are. And then also playing poker doesn't have passive income. You have to be actively doing it. So, and then also you have to be like willing to like give a rich guy a handy under the table to get into the JRB game. So, you know, like some people don't want to live that life. I don't know that.
How many hand jobs have you been given? What have you been doing?
I don't know. In theory, it may or may not. Debatably, it debatably happened, Joey. I think that's a word you probably would find fitting for this one.
No. Actually, I know this has happened before, but I see your attempted usage of the word, and I would say it's a confirmed fact. Things like this have happened before. But continue on.
So anyway, for people that don't want to do that, you have to go a different way. You have to find your own way. And I think also like I think like trying to expand out and try different things is like a really cool part of life that I think smart people sort of realize is like um, it gives you fulfillment in a way you don't find otherwise, and it adds like a layer of happiness that you can't get from doing the same thing over and over again for forever. So, if you find that thing that you're always passionate about, no matter what, that's great, and you should continue to pursue it. But I think stepping outside your comfort zone and trying to find something else that you can succeed in is cool. And I actually love hearing the stories of the guys that like were good at poker and then kind of step outside and try to do something else. I love those stories, and I've talked to several people that have tried to do different things, and it's cool to see.
Actually, I want to talk about why. So one thing we always talk about is the success, right? Making a lot of money, and it seems to us that's the way to be. We have to aspire to make $1 million. If you're not aspiring to make $1 million or $10 million, you're a failure or something like that. I feel like that's overall, not us, but I think that's what it seems like the world preaches out there. Is it preaches this monetary success in this capitalistic society that we live in America here. And I guess I've always thought that too, because I've really followed along with what I read out there, and what I follow these great athletes and these great entertainers and these great corporations and businesses. And I thought that's the way that life has to be. But for a lot of people out there, that's not how life is, and that's not what they want their life to be. And they might be motivated by that because they're so programmed to be that way from all of the content that they take in. And that holds them back from having a happy life, knowing that, hey, I made 100K, I got 100K, I got 50K, I got 25K, I got a good job, I got a great family. And it feels like to some people out there, that's not what success is. And I guess for you, why do you see money? Why do you see this pursuit of a monetary status for yourself? Why do you see that as a motivation for you?
So I don't think it has to be at all, and I think like when I compare myself to a lot of other people that I know, I think for me it's less of a motivational factor.
Mm-hmm.
I still do like making money. I still do have goals for long run kind of, I don't have like I want to make X amount in my life type of goals, but I do have long term goals for the level of success I want to achieve with that. Because I enjoy the process, and I enjoy the building the process of building wealth. So I don't think that has to be your goal by any stretch, though. If you don't have an interest in doing that, you're still going to need to make enough to be able to give yourself the flexibility and the freedom to pursue your passions. But it doesn't have to be money at all. It can be whatever metric you want to make it. But I do think it is good to have goals, because it gives you something to strive for and gives you a reason to wake up early and work hard to achieve something that I think it gives you like a purpose that you don't get otherwise.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't have to be money, though. Absolutely not.
Yeah, I think that's one thing is it's so hard. I feel like if your goals are, I want to have a happy family, I want to have a great relationship with my wife, I want to have a great relationship with my father, with my friends, I'd like to go to work, I'd like to find enjoyment and fulfillment out of that. And then everything around you is sort of programming you to eat unhealthy, to live unhealthy, to chase money, chase fame, chase status, chase attention. And it seems like that's only becoming more of a prevalent thing in society now, and where the younger people are going to grow up and they're going to be craving attention. And to them, if they don't get attention, that they're doing something wrong, when in reality, I don't believe that's true. And I don't believe everyone is built for attention, because the attention can be very harmful for you as well. Even if it's positive, it can be something that really fucks with you for a long time. And I guess, what is it about the position that you're in terms of having this status and having a level of fame and having a level of attention that is consistently put on you, that appeals to you to the point where you've desired to reach this level?
I just have to say, today has been a really deep day on the podcast.
Been in the lab, bro. I'm telling you right
now. I was like, we're going to talk about the Ivy thing. We're going to talk about maybe some party poker slope paying a little bit. We're going to talk about this ridiculous Venetian guarantee.
They'll get there second half.
We'll probably get an update on ACR, because I know that's what Joey does in his spare time. And then we'll laugh a couple of times, do a couple of jokes about Rake, and we'll call it a day. No. Today went a very different direction right out of the gate.
I'm crying at the beginning. I'm like, I'm a fucking crazy person. I get it. An
hour and 10 minutes later, and we're still on the who are you really trying to be? Like, and I'm like,
love it. Listen, Doug, it's okay. Right up my alley. This is the Deep Dive Life podcast with your boy Poppy GTO over here, man.
I'm down for it. It's been like, it was such a curveball from what I
Well,
thought.
I've
we were
been
going.
thinking. I knew. I didn't tell you this, friend. I wanted to throw. Shelly was like, "Have you told Doug like the topics you want to talk about?" I'm like, "Nah, we're just gonna throw him on him and see how he handles it."
So you just
I
like,
love it. You're quick
like,
on your
hey,
feet.
Doug, come on the podcast. I can pull the rug out from under you.
Doug, so sit on the couch. I'd like to have a couple words with you, my beautiful friend here. Tell me about yourself here.
The podcast starts. And you're like, so what is life really?
Listen, man.
Oh,
Okay,
God,
I'm going deep
Monday.
down the rabbit hole. Okay, I'm going deep down. I'm trying to get them. I'm trying to be. There's enough surface level content information out there. I'm trying to be a deeper version of myself, man. And it starts with my podcast. That's what my podcast is going to be a lot of times here. So this is something I'm very, very interested in.
Yourself or a better version of yourself? A deeper version?
Debatably, better and deeper. Very debatable.
Okay. How deep are you going into yourself?
As deep as I can go.
All right, let's.
As deep as I can go.
Oh boy.
What do you think about that, though? I'm very curious about that. What is it about this situation that you enjoy? Why did you aspire to get to this point in terms of the idea of fame or the idea of having this status in a community like this?
To be honest with you, it didn't really start off about me at all. It started off upswing poker, and at first, like, I debated having all my stuff just be upswing poker, and I would just do it through it. And then I started looking into it more, and the study that I did showed that if you make personal accounts and it's from you, not your brand, you tend to grow faster and it tends to be more successful. So I was like, all right, well, I'll just do my own channels. I really didn't even have a lot of these social platforms, you know? And so, like, it didn't start off like, I want to be famous. It was just like, how can I help grow this business that I'm starting?
Mm-hmm.
And then, like, as things went well, obviously, then you start to have people that actually follow you because they like what you do, and kind of goes from there. I mean, you know, it's a blessing and a curse. Like, sometimes, like, you have to deal with people that are very rude or disrespectful to you. That happens a lot. And then sometimes you get fans that are just like really happy. Like, dude, most people are great. Like, really, like, if I'm like, if I go to the World Series, 9 out of 10 conversations are take a picture. Like, they say, I really like what you do. And then I give them a hug or a handshake or like a fist pound, a fist bump, and we're on our way. And that's it, you know? And like, that's great. And then it's just like 1 out of 10 or 1 out of 20. You just get like some dude that's either trying to get some free shit or like just trying to like waste your time or trying to like linger around or like, you know, it's the small ones. And like, that's where you have to develop a skill set of like, no, like I need you to leave type. And it sucks because then like, oh, I didn't realize you were such a fucking dick. And it's like, yeah, but like, if I let everyone treat me the way you're treating me, like, what would my life look like? What would my day look like? You know, like, at some point you have to put your foot down and like, and then you get some people that really try to big time you, or like I was at the Rio this summer and there was like some like guy, he's probably like 45, 50 years old in a suit. And he's like, and I was like saying with some of my friends, he's at a table and he turns around to me and he says like, so Doug, you know, I'm hoping to, he's like playing some small tournament. He's like, yeah, I'm hoping to have a good score so that we can dance or something like that. And I was like, what? And he's like, oh, you might not remember this because you had a few too many drinks, but we played a 5-10 session and say it didn't go well for you. I'm like, okay.
Bang, bang.
All right. Sounds plausible. And then he just kept doing this and I'm like, just leave me alone. And then like 5 minutes later, the guy's like, yeah, like I didn't realize that you're disrespectful to like, he didn't say fans, but disrespectful to people. I didn't realize you think you're better than everyone. It's just like, what is like, it's like, I feel like with some people, they're talking to you as if you've had some kind of running back and forth for like their entire existence of knowing you, but you don't know them, right? And so it's just like people can be very disrespectful like that, and sometimes you have to tell them to like basically chill the fuck out or like leave you alone. And I think that part really sucks, and I can understand why. Like imagine Joey actually being somebody famous. Okay, I'm like at the Rio, I'm gonna get mobbed by people famous. That's a nice place to be. Because then if I don't go to the Rio, I'm nobody. You know, it's like you just can really separate it. Imagine being a legitimately famous person and having to like go outside. Oh. You know what I'm saying? And you're going to get all these crazy people. These fucking crazy people. This guy at my gym was so nuts a year or two ago. I had him kicked out of my gym. Every time I went, he would harass me, try and get like my information. And like this one day, he's had like a breakdown at me. Like I'm on a machine lifting some weights. And he's like, you know, we need to work out together. Or, you know, you're always going to be fat. You're going to be just like Scott Saver. You're gonna be just like Scott Saver. You're always gonna
bring my guy Scott into this, bro.
You know what I'm saying? But that was this guy was
What?
yelling.
What?
I'm like legitimately using a machine lifting, and he's like sitting there screaming this at me, like point blank, and I'm like what is it? Like, is this real life? Is this real life? Is this a real thing happening to me right now? You know? And then he goes on all my social medias and like leaves creepy weird comments. This is a real thing.
I kind of like
Unreal.
him. I don't know. I mean, hey,
Oh yeah. Classic. We're getting back to the earlier part, Joey, where you're like, I like all people and like everyone needs to be my friend. Yeah, I love the guy who like stalks me at the gym. Anyway,
shout out to the stalkers. Listen, I got a few stalkers out there.
That part sucks. That
You're
part
right.
sucks.
I'd prefer they didn't stalk me, but at the same time, those people exist. So you gotta, I don't know. Do you take them? You take them in. You take them in, I guess. I don't know.
No, you don't take them in. No, that's
no, you don't. No, you don't. You tell them
no.
Tell them leave the fuck alone.
Tell them no. Yeah, you tell them. Yes, you say leave me the fuck alone. That's what you say.
Okay. I like that. I will. I guess when you talk about that idea of being known, or does that make you feel like you have to continue on that path in terms of what you do next, or do you feel like you could go back and do something that is smaller in scale or more of a simple sort of lifestyle, or do you feel like now that you have this audience and you have this level of status and this level of potential to be wherever you want to be in terms of a mainstream success if you really wanted to, do you feel like you're obligated to continue on this path, and do you feel that pressure on yourself to do that?
No, definitely not. I do what I do because I like doing it. I like making content. I like putting myself out there. I like having an audience. I like that. I like those things. And then, you know, the kind of the side effects of that is sometimes you deal with crazy fans. That's just the price you pay. And like, I'm all right with that. You know, like I wouldn't say that I love that. That I love like people knowing who I am in a lot of places I go, but I don't hate it either. I'm fine with it. As long as people can be somewhat goddamn respectful. It's not even asking for a lot.
That's true.
And again, like 90 whatever % of people are just awesome. Like they're really nice, they're friendly, they just ask for a picture or they just want to say hi or like that's totally cool. Like, but when some guy is like, so Doug, what do you do on the turn here? I'm playing 1-2 in Missouri, and I got jacks, and you know how it is with jacks, and so of course I limp in.
Jacks.
And I'm like, you know what, man? I'm really sorry, but I gotta run. He's like, no, but just listen. So you're gonna like this. So and I'm like, no. It's so the flop comes out, and I have to be like, and I have to like just like tear myself away because like if every person told me their Jack's hand history, it's too many Jacks.
You've had enough.
Joey,
Doug, right?
you realize that we can see you, right?
You've had enough, right?
You're doing like the body stuff. You're like,
bro, I'm stretching. What do you want me to do? I was just with my chiropractor. They said I might listen. My posture's bad.
I can see you. They can see you.
I'm just stretching. What do you don't move? I'm sitting here in the chair for an hour and a half. I'm trying to move around, buddy. What do you want me to do, man? Like, come on. Ain't you ever just feel? You don't feel like ever stretching out, man? Just putting it out there.
Anyone ever stretch? Sometimes I like to stretch.
Listen, we're just two dudes fucking working out, bro.
Just two dudes. Let's get these tank tops off.
No, keep that shirt on, buddy. I mean, listen. Is Six-Pack Polk coming out to play?
One day. Bring
him out, baby. 6PP in the house or what? Sex God out here?
We'll get there.
Let me see.
Not yet, though. We got ways to go.
Show me. Let me see.
You want some nip?
No, I want to see the abs. Let me see the abs.
The viewers are like, what is going on?
Listen, Six-Pack Polk. They call him Six-Pack Polk for a reason. 6PP. Come on, man.
No,
Supreme leader, Douglas K. Polk's in the house today, Doug. Appreciate you always just joining me. We're going to get a couple more questions in here. Guys in the chat, everyone tuning in live, thank you very much. We're going to be putting up a lot of content on this channel coming up here for the 36 for 40 video, 120 video challenge prop bet I have with Doug Polk that needs a name right now, or we'll be jumping out of a plane. And when I have Scott Seaver on the podcast next Tuesday, maybe we'll ask him about this. We're going to have him in studio as well. We're going to be having I'm going to make a little different setup back here to make it more of a GTO setup for people in studio to do that. And yeah, man, it's... I'll get you in the Six-Pack group chat, Harbs, there. I got a couple questions here for Doug I'd like to ask, and they're going to be more of fun questions. So we're going to cover some of the topics that Douglas mentioned a little bit ago. But first, I'm going to let Doug give some shout-outs while I go to the bathroom. Go ahead, Doug. You're on.
Oh, my favorite moment when Joey throws me under the bus here to fill time. All right, guys, welcome.
You give great shout-outs, Doug. Give yourself more credit.
Poker Life Podcast. We got some shout-outs coming up here. First off, shout out at your boy, Poppy A. And he's back on the podcast with another episode of the greatest poker podcast that we got going around. Everybody, what's up? Harbs in the chat. Welcome. always going to see my boy Harbs. Of course, Patrick Curran in the mix here tonight. Ryan McCormick, another reg in these streets. Love to see it. Love to see Sasha. Sasha, what's good? Welcome to the podcast today. Eric Kangas, welcome as well. Landon Tice, thanks for the moderating. As always, good to see the good people getting some work done here to make these streets safe. Safe and kind. Safe. That's what's important here on the podcast. Good to have you here. Stu Hall, of course, back in the mix. Miguel Prendez, sorry for butchering your name with my gringo accent. Calvin and Hobbs DK, welcome. Good to have you here. Of course, David Nagande. Looks similar to Grande, but it's not. Hi, guys. What do they speak about, guys? Cliffs. The Cliffs are. The guys are here. Welcome back. And, of course, Joe Ingram, your host, your favorite person on this channel, because it's not mine, it's Joey's. Welcome back. How was the bathroom? Don't tell us. It was great. Let's jump back into some emotional feelings.
Have you ever, so when you think about doing mainstream content, I actually have a mainstream content plan, Doug, that I am going to probably do at some point. I don't want to dedicate myself to the idea, but I think I have an idea where I can become one of the biggest YouTubers on the platform.
I'm in.
While doing a podcast as well too. I think I've formulated the idea, and it basically revolves all around the same template I used for that UFC video, which is my over-the-top passion and excitement for my investigations and my ability to go dive deep into these research topics, and also my ability to understand marketing, my ability to understand how to leverage the current topics that are happening, and just my general interest in fucking almost anything that's happening out there in the world. Combine that with then getting people from those genres on the podcast, because the videos will be high quality, they'll be highly produced. Then you get somebody from that genre on there. Then you can even extend it and potentially go spend time with these people in these industries and learn more about them. And then you can document that process and show people that they can learn more about what's happening. And basically use the same format that I used with the Khabib Nurmagomedov versus Conor McGregor video, or the poker investigations I do, or like I'm just digging in. It's like PI Poppy, Investigator Pop, whatever the hell you want to call it, Sherlock Poppy. And, but the general idea is that you cover these topics that more people in the world want to see. And I don't see how this isn't a recipe for success.
I love it. I've said that you should do. I think your investigation type videos are the best videos you make.
Thank you.
Those McGregor, Khabib, or how you pronounce his name?
Khabib Nurmagomedov.
Whatever. Amazing. Those were so good.
Thank you.
And then like the people in the crowd, and you're going through their social medias. And you're like,
well, the reason why
those were great.
That was one of the only videos I had like this over the top passion to do. And I think that comes out in I just love really diving in the investigation and then trying to put all that material into a video. And that really helps people understand what happened, because a lot of times these incidents happen and some people know, but a lot of people out there want to know more. They want to sound smart about this. So I'm sure some people watch that video and then they go to work and they say, hey, like, oh no, here's what happened. Oh, I know what happened in that brawl. Like it makes them sound smarter to their friends when Khabib fights. And the interesting thing about that video is that I got really lucky in that I picked someone who is a worldwide superstar in Conor McGregor. Then I picked someone who is now turning in and has turned into a worldwide superstar in Khabib Nurmagomedov. So there's that constant interest in him. And that video, the video has 2 million views in the past month. Like
again?
Yes, after that fight ended the last Saturday, right when it ended, it spiked up. It had 280,000 in one day. Oh my God.
Dude, that's going to do that indefinitely. YouTube does this with all my poker hands videos. They just constantly get viewership over time. Like I've got videos from like 2016 that still get like a couple K views a day or whatever.
Jeez.
That shit really adds up. If you're getting 1 million or 2 whenever Khabib fights,
man,
that's eventually going to do 20 or 25 million or whatever.
I was looking up, like,
you're
right. I'm like, what are the most popular Khabib? It's the most popular Khabib video at the time I looked, and it's one of the most popular UFC related videos on YouTube in terms of, because there's some that have like they went up for 50 or 60, but I think the overall template and formula is there. It's just a matter of being strategic with kind of what you're choosing, and then telling people something that they don't know, and that comes down to your investigation ability and your ability to put that together as a story.
Dude, that video has 17 million views. What? What?
You know, hey, listen, man.
17 million?
Hey, you know.
Oh my God.
It happens. What can you do?
How do you only have 93K subs?
That video alone got me 23,000 subscribers.
Dude, 17 million people is a big number.
I know. Can you imagine? 17 million people watched a video of mine. That's nuts.
Breaks
the brain to think about, man. And it's the first non-poker video I ever did too, which is just insane. I actually was gonna do an Antonio Brown video. I had I have the format laid out, and I know it would have crushed because it would have been the day after all that stuff happened.
Yeah.
And then the scandal broke, and I was like, oh my God, I wish I would have done that video now because
I debated the same video. I debated making an Antonio Brown video.
you should have. I
And
knew
then
I was following it so closely, so I knew what happened, and I was like, oh,
Yeah.
this would just this is like the biggest trending thing on Google and YouTube right now.
I was following it too because it was just so absurd. But
Oh man, yeah.
dude, I think you would crush. I think if you did the investigation type videos, but you did them on whatever's currently trending that you're interested in, that would smash. Do
Yeah.
like one a week. I mean, like, you don't need to be getting 17 million a video to make those work.
I know. And I guess
and
the crazy thing is that if you have one video pop off like that, you're making that residual income for the foreseeable future. Which is insane. Like you just keep making money off some video that you made a year ago.
So 1 million views is usually about $2,000.
Right.
So so you made $34,000 off one video. That's insane. Off one video?
That's
An average video, I think I make $400 off of, Joey.
What are you getting on average? Are you about 100, 200 right now? What are you getting for your views on your videos right now?
I think my average video on the poker channel does about, like, over its life, does like 175 roughly. And I think I make like 250 per 100 views or something.
Okay.
Per 100K views. And like the channel, like my revenue's been high lately because everything that you advertise for on YouTube contains information. But
Sure.
you know, long run, I don't know if it's going to stay that high. But even then, still, I did like the month I cranked out a video every day. Basically, I was doing like $500 a day or something. I mean, it's not bad. It's just like, that was a lot of videos to make. Like I'm doing it mainly to be honest with you, I'm mainly doing it so I don't have to jump out of a plane, Joey. It's the main reason I've been making videos. Like, I don't want to jump out of this plane, so I'm gonna do 80 videos.
Who knew? Who would have guessed that? Who would have guessed that was why
you're doing it? It's the little things in life.
I know. So I guess the poker community does have to thank me for getting you this motivated to get back on the horse and get back on the content streets. I mean, you listen, I'm sure you enjoy, like you said, you realize that you enjoy making videos. I'm sure that was something that you were wondering, like, do I actually enjoy this? And I've wondered that too, but I love making videos. So
yeah, definitely.
It's so much fun to put these things together, and I almost don't even mind I just like making the videos. I don't mind if anyone watches them sometimes. Like, it's great if they do, but I just like the fun. It's just fun to put them together. Like, oh, I want to try this transition here. I want to try this there. And I think just what's happening with YouTube in general is very fascinating, and how it's becoming this celebrity launcher in some ways. And now you have these movie stars getting on there and starting their own YouTube channels. Athletes are all hopping on. The football teams are hopping on. And it almost seems like we went from having content be on cable and you had an individual CBS, NBC. Now all those companies are going on YouTube, and YouTube is this open borders thing where anyone from around the world can go there for free. So it's like you need to have a channel on there if you want to be relevant and you want to get yourself out there to be seen. And I imagine what's going to happen is it'll go back at some point to a subscription base where you go find 10 people's content at some point in time. Once it becomes, we'll probably see the trend reverse at some point in time too. Like we see right now, we go from cable, we go to the subscription model with all the different platforms. And then eventually people are going to be paying $10 for 35 different platforms. And they're saying, fuck this, I want one platform. And then it's going to consolidate back a different way.
Yeah, it's tough to guess these things. Like,
Yeah.
it's tough to know what direction they're headed. And if you know what it's headed, accurately, or where it's headed accurately, then you can make a lot of money from knowing that. But it's tough. It's tough to predict.
Yeah,
I mean, right now we're really seeing a shift away from like TV networks towards like cutting the cord and going with like these like Hulu and Sling, and then we look at the digital landscape for like content, and it's becoming a little more competitive with like Microsoft kind of challenging Twitch with Mixr and a few of these other things. Like, pretty off topic, but did you follow the Ninja thing at all? How like what they did with his channel after he left?
Yeah, so I saw, so Doug's referring to something that happened. Ninja is a very most popular streamer in the world through Fortnite, and what happened was he got a deal from Mixr, which is owned by Microsoft, which is a competitive rival to Twitch, which is owned by Amazon. And I actually heard a really inside story about how Google had acquired Twitch. They were the person that was going to buy them, but then something happened and fucked up, and then Amazon swooped in and got that deal. So Amazon has Twitch. Obviously, Twitch is the biggest live streaming platform, with YouTube Gaming and YouTube Live being second biggest. And now Microsoft is pushing Mixr. So what they did was they approached Ninja, who's the top streamer on Twitch, and they offered him, who knows how much money they offered this guy. He left Twitch to go full-time on Mixr, and then Twitch shut down his they closed the guy's channel, and then they would have recommended channels up, and one of the channels they recommended one time had pornography playing on the channel. So
Unreal.
These kids are going to the Ninja channel. It says, oh, we can't find this guy. A recommended channel. Check these guys out instead. One of them is pornography. If Ninja posts a video, he's furious about it. Listen, that's interesting decision from Twitch to do that. Obviously, I can understand they don't want to promote Mixr, and it's an upstart competitor with this massive backing behind in Microsoft. But to do that is to someone who built your platform and was the biggest guy on your platform is seems pretty fucked up to me, man.
It just shows you like the power of the company and not your accounts. Your accounts are really still owned by them. And so you're at the mercy of what these companies want to do. You just are. I think that issue really highlighted that. But the fact that like this guy has got this fan base of millions of kids, and like not only do they remove his channel, which they've never done to anyone else ever because they went to a different platform, they remove his channel to advertise other people. And one of those things was like a porn channel, or like a channel that was just showing porn, is just so downright insane that happened.
I know, man.
Unbelievable. Unbelievable.
And in a way, I think that it was almost a better thing for marketing for Ninja, because now Ninja's fans get a chance to rally around him and want to support him more and want to go to that new channel. And it's very interesting because you can see a lot of these streamers who started Fortnite, they becoming miserable. Like they are just toxic. They're negative. They
sound familiar to anything else, Joe?
Sounds very familiar to maybe my own experience and your own experience with streaming. And a lot of people don't understand that, but it's a very high pressure thing you do each and every day, and you keep doing something that you love doing at first, but the toll it takes on you when you have to do it all the time, that can be very harmful for you. So I think that's it could put you in a very negative place.
Streaming is not sustainable, because so first off, streaming is winner take all. So the biggest streamer gets bigger from there. So you have to go ham, and you have to be one of the top guys, or you're going to like just get such a small share of the market that it's not worth doing. So it's winner take all. So you have to go ham. The way the platform works, the more you stream, the better you do. So you have to be doing it all the time. And then once you get there, if you don't stream all the time, you lose your place. So you have to go all the time, hard as fuck, and like really try to build that audience. And what it does is it makes your life horrible, absolutely horrible. And look, like in small dosages, streaming could be fun, but you won't build an audience doing small dosages. You have to be every day at 10:30, whatever. I know my guy is going to be online. You're a slave. You're a slave to the system, basically. If you're not putting out content like every day or two, and you're not doing it for a super long period of time, you're going to lose your audience. And so you have to keep doing it. And you can see it in their eyes. It kills them. Dude, look at poker. Look at all the guys that were bigger streamers before. They don't want to do it because it sucks.
Right.
I remember looking at one of the last series Somerville streamed, and like looking at his face, and he was just like, you could tell he was miserable. He was just dying. You could see it in his eyes, you know? Look at all these other streamers. I don't want to speak for anyone specifically, but like you can see how much it crushes their soul, because it is a soul crushing thing to have to do. Right. So like if you can do it every day and are happy, I'm beyond impressed, and more power to you. You deserve it all. But like for me, like I gained a lot of weight. I couldn't control like my diet. After like the session, I was like so belligerently tired. I couldn't write sentences correctly. I mean, like I don't get how these guys do it. I really don't. It's like it's just. And then you think about with poker specifically, you have to not only be interactive with your audience on a delay, which is complex and weird, but then you also have to try and play excellent poker against people trying to take your money. It's one of the hardest jobs in the world in terms of like what you have to try and do to be good at it. You have to be good on so many fronts. So many fronts.
One of the hardest jobs in the world?
Yeah, in terms of being able to pull off successfully, I think so. Not in terms of individual difficulty, but in
Okay.
order to do it well, I think it's one of
Okay.
the hardest jobs in the world.
Okay.
Like obviously, it's
I'd
harder
like to
to
study
be
this.
a construction worker and have to lift heavy shit all day for for many hours. But in terms of becoming a successful streamer and consistently doing it over time and becoming one of the top streamers, unbelievably hard in poker. Because you have to play poker really well, or
Well,
else it's going to become
there aren't many
expensive.
doing that
And
are
then,
successful doing it right now. I mean, that's case in point. There, how many
yeah, I
are
know
successful
it's
people are there?
unbelievably hard. It's unbelievably hard to do.
Like that make money from streaming. I mean, you look at a guy like Alex Feldhaus, and I think that Lex's contract with PokerStars is his biggest motivator for continuing to stream, and also his own personal pride. And he prides himself on just grinding, man. He's a fucking machine, and you can kind of see I think he's got it down better now. He's given himself more time to take breaks. He's given himself more time to travel, get out there in the world. So I think Lex for a while was going on a very unhealthy schedule, and it was something that we talked about, and something that he shared was impacting his health. And now he's getting it down and realizing, okay, I need to be more efficient with my grind periods of time. And I think that's going to allow me to continue to do it. And just had a big score, second place, W Coupe event, $90-some thousand, man. So
how long does it last for Lex though? Because like we've seen this life cycle with many of the people who've tried to stream.
True. Kevin Martin just quit.
And
Kevin Martin just retired. Tonka obviously took a step back. Jamie Staples took a step back at some point. I think Gross took a step back.
Staples did? I thought Staples was.
Is he still?
Oh, he did for a bit, I think.
Yeah, for a bit. I think he did. Yeah, Matt Staples. He gets after it, man. He's still working hard too.
So the question kind of becomes like, is it reasonable to expect him to be doing it in like 3 years? Probably not. Right? Look at the life cycle of everyone else. Doesn't mean he won't. Maybe he'll go for 10 years. I really don't know. But like the chances of that are very low because of how much work and how hard it is to do. Is so hard. So yeah, I think streaming just like kills your soul and your body and you.
Well,
destroys
Doug,
everything.
This is going to be an awkward transition, but I actually want to announce that I'm going to be streaming every day this month.
Oh, good for you, Joey. I could see you doing great with that. You got it. You got it. No, I think you could do a really good job.
Thank you. I'm actually not.
You're built for it.
But if I do stream, I'm going to stream NBA 2K, and I'm going to wreck some people hard. So I kind of want to stream NBA 2K because it's the number one thing I'm interested in right now, outside of learning about myself and dealing with all these uncomfortable feelings where I'm questioning myself, and then I sit there and I have to tell myself it'll be okay. So it is what it is. Someone said something about I read about Psych 101, and I actually have read about Psych 101. You're right. I'm very new to psychology. I've never studied psychology and biology before. These are two very interesting topics to me in terms of learning how our body and minds work. And I aspire to be someone who is deeply knowledgeable about both of those things. And that's where I'll get to. So you're right. I did just start reading about psychology, and it's fucking crazy, Doug. You know, everything's linked with psychology. We can trace it all, man. It seems like it's wild.
Trace it all. Like which things? Like what was 9/11 an inside job?
Let's move on. I don't want to get into any conspiracy theories right now with you, buddy. Listen, I could make a really good 9/11. I could make a really good 9/11
Where was the plane
video.
with the Pentagon?
Do you not think a plane hit the Pentagon?
Do you?
I don't know. Do you?
I mean, it's all a little much for us to believe, isn't it, Joey?
Do you believe every mainstream narrative that we're told to us by the media?
I mean, I'm not saying that it didn't hit the Pentagon.
Okay.
I'm just saying, where's the plane? No, not me. I'm just saying.
Wait a second.
I'm just saying
the guy that owned the World Trade Center he did some sort of insurance agreement to make $2.3 trillion right before it went down. That wasn't. No, whatever. That's fine. Let's move on. So, okay. So, Doug, back to my questioner list. Doug, we got some fun questions here. All right. My question I need to get from people. I need to get more stories from my people out here. Okay, Doug, I need to know, what is your craziest story from your poker career? Whether it's a massive swing you had or a memorable moment that you had. What's one of those craziest stories for your career?
Okay. Craziest story. So I had a day I lost $1 million once to Isildur.
Okay.
It's pretty crazy.
Would you like to? Would you care to expand on that, or would you just like to say I lost $1 million Isildur in a very monotone voice and then not expand on that answer any further?
You know, the thing is, it was just so like direct. Like we logged on and he smashed me for $1 million, and then I logged off because like it had been enough of a day for me. How high stakes, 400, 800 ante-tables on full tilt. We did some 4-tabling battling. Overall, I did very well versus Isildur, but that one day he just fucking cooked me for like $1 million. I even had one of my favorite hands I've had in my career that session where I like made a big call with aces for a huge pot.
So what's it like when you lose this $1 million? Are you ready to get back after it? Are you ready to get in the lab? Are you ready to jump off the local bridge?
Yeah.
Like what are you thinking?
Are you familiar with sadness?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Okay, so you kind of.
So do you cry, or do you have like conversation with JMO and he's like, fuck that guy, like, just suck it, whatever. Like what?
It was a bad time for me because my dad had recently discovered high stakes DB and was like, "Are you okay, Doug? I was looking at like the results. Are you okay?" Like, and I'm like, "Everything's fine, guys. For fuck's sake, this goddamn lucky cunt." No, I'm just kidding. Yeah, and then you get back after it, and before you know it, you're back to even. Hopefully.
So did you make that money back against Isildur? Or did you have to make that?
Yeah. Oh, for sure.
Yeah,
for sure.
And some.
Yeah. I mean, Isildur is, I think, the guy I've won the most money off of. But sometimes, like those tables, the buy-in was 200K. So like
Jeez.
five buy-ins, like not really that insane. It was like 200-ish big ones though. But yeah.
Do you miss those days?
Also, when people overbet a lot, the variance ramps up. And there were some hands where with Isildur, like he would make plays that were like it was unclear if he was value betting or bluffing, and that's going to up variance so much. Just like the merges.
Not only unclear to him, which then made it unclear to you because you didn't know if it was
no,
clear
it might have been clear to him. I can't. I'm not the man. I can't tell you if it was clear to him or not.
Right.
But from my perspective, it was unclear what he was doing.
Do you feel like if we go back and review these plays, are they
not in like the beautifully like weaved strategy where it's unclear because of the rich depth of the complexity of the strat? It was unclear in like a did he know top pair wasn't that good here kind of way, like stuff like that more so. I'm serious.
Do you think if we go review the session, the solver will approve some of these plays that he made potentially? He was maybe ahead of his time in terms of adopting a solver strategy combined with an exploitative strategy?
Well, I think neither one of us have ever used a solver. So I'm going to say that it was probably not very solver approved.
Maybe he's an intuitive solver-based player.
It's not a thing.
Maybe the solver was created off of him.
Maybe.
I'm just throwing ideas out there. I'm not saying I fucking believe that. I'm just, what do you think? Let's toss the ball with me a little bit here.
I'm not saying that 7-Eleven was a part-time job, but it could have been.
Listen, my boy Z worked there full-time back in the day when we were living in Chicago, man.
I'm not saying he didn't, but it could have been a part-time job. Prove it wasn't.
He owned it. Case dismissed. Dumb bum. He's intuitively running sims in his head. Whatever.
Yeah.
Bro, do you know how fascinating game? If you ever really studied game theory, it's super fascinating, man. My big question is, I guess these things can be proven, is like, well, then how do we know that game theory is the best way to solve these games, and how do we know there's not a better way and a better formula to come up with potentially better conclusions to solve these games? I guess that part's kind of fascinating to me, and just the idea of how the solvers based strategies will be integrated into the poker world. I think.
So what would be the way to solve games other than game theory?
Well, I don't know. I'm sure. Like, could there be something else? That's what I'm wondering. Like, could there be something else?
I'm not saying there isn't.
Right.
I mean, prove to me there's not.
I can't.
Exactly.
I don't know.
That's why you need to limp in with jacks, Joey.
Phil Hellmuth says to do that.
Overcards come in way too often.
Why should you always raise?
I'm not saying you should. Probably shouldn't.
What if you hit a jack on the flop?
This is a really productive conversation.
All right, let's move on. Let's talk about the Venetian Rake situation. So the Venetian recently announced a tournament. I believe it's a 150K guaranteed tournament, maybe a 150 buy-in, something of that nature. And I believe that they have a 150K guarantee. And this is a new model, and this model cannot be accepted in the poker world, Doug, because for obvious reasons. So if the guarantee is 150,000, any amount of money that they get over that guarantee, the Venetian will then just take. And I believe there may have been some sort of giveaway that they do for people. I don't exactly know how the giveaway is going to work, but they essentially have adopted a new model of raking where they just take all the money. The whole buy-in doesn't go to the prize pool, goes to them.
Ahead of their time. I actually saw I recorded a news video for tomorrow, and I go through a few topics that have happened recently in poker, and this is one of the stories that I cover, and it's just so goddamn fucking ridiculous.
Yeah.
I was gonna say this in my video tomorrow, but I think we might as well say it right here now. I think poker players need to boycott the Venetian. This is ridiculous. Ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous.
I mean, poker players have to understand, right? If we allow these things to happen with a casino, a poker room saying, okay, we're going to take all the money after the guarantees hit. Well, and if people go play this, what if this becomes more of a thing?
Yes, that's exactly. Yeah.
That's what happens when you support these companies that have this really high rake structure where they're just taking the money. Is that if other companies see this works, they say, well, then I'm going to do it too. Why would I not? People are still showing up.
It's a free market. People can do whatever. Like, companies can act in their own best interest. And honestly, Joey, if people are happy to sign up and pay 70% rake, I almost feel like the casinos should be doing this. Why offer anything? Why offer anything reasonable?
Why?
If people don't care, if people are going to play either way, why should anyone care?
I don't know. It's a good question. Why should anyone care?
Shouldn't care.
Why should there be winners in poker?
I think we have to boycott the Venetian. I think there needs to be a thing. I think people need to stop playing there. I'm going to say it tomorrow in my video. I'm going to try and put as much information out there as I can, try and get the word out, and try and like help people make sure people do not play this tournament and tell their friends and like try, because like this just cannot be a thing.
Doug,
it can't be a
thing. Explain why this isn't good for the poker community. So people
Well,
out there, because intuitively I think a lot of people say, yeah, it makes sense, but explain exactly how this is bad for people out there so they get a better understanding of this.
All right. Well, so essentially what this is there's a cap buy-in. So $150,000 will be paid out of this tournament regardless of entries. And so as the number goes over 150, it becomes more and more percentage rake, right? If $500,000 is put into the prize pool, only 150 comes out. So if $1 million went in, only 150 comes out. And if 50 came in, only 150 comes out. So in that last scenario, you'd be getting 300% your buy-in, and all the other ones, you're going to get less. The thing is, they don't pick a guarantee number unless they know they can hit it. So what they're essentially doing is they're making sure that any additional buy-ins that go over 150 are going straight to them and is just stolen out of the prize pool entirely. Could be 70% rake. Obviously, you can't beat that. You know, like this is like basic stuff. Like the higher the rake, the less chance you have to win. Unless you actually have more chance to win.
Do you think that's possible? Maybe they will. I mean, I can make a good case for why there's more chance to win. The better regulars aren't going to show up. They don't want to pay more rake. Therefore, it's just all the donks that show up that don't know what they're doing. So then people want to go hit that.
Never said that in my life.
I could certainly make an argument for that, right? Wasn't that the whole more rake is better argument that the weaker players will have a better chance to win?
The old memes. They're old but good.
You done with your beefs? What? Listen, Doug, I gotta actually talk to you about one, man. Listen, man. What's up with you going after this kid, Charlie Carrel, man? What's wrong with the Charlie Carrel kid? What are you yawning about? What? I like that guy, man. I like talking with him. He's got some out there ideas that aren't in common, but he speaks his mind. And what's wrong with Charlie Carrel? What did he do?
I think that Charlie Carrel probably has good intentions. But he does it through like trying to say outlandish shit to get people riled up and then act like he's the victim. That shit's so tilting.
Joey, Doug, hold on. Let me ask you a question. Do we know anyone else in this chat that sometimes says outlandish things that get people riled up?
That's not what I said.
I'm not. I know you're not saying that. I'm just asking that first, and then I'll go to the second part.
No. Don't lead the witness.
You think they have to be together?
No. That's not what I said. What I said was...
I agree. You didn't say that. I'm saying you didn't say that. I agree. You said something after that, which I'm then going to get to.
What is this logic?
I'm just asking a question.
Joey, are you saying that you beat up children? No, you didn't. You're not saying you did beat up children. You're not. No. But if you did, but you didn't say you beat up children specifically. But let's just say you're at a playground. You didn't say this, by the way, but you were at a playground and there were children and they were beaten up. I'm not saying it was you, but would you say that someone beat them up?
Well, if I beat the fucking children up, then yeah, I'd say I would. No, correct. What? Are you saying you don't get people riled up with your comments?
That's not my point. My point is, let me give you an example. My point is, he tweets things like, we need to have more empathy for child molesters. knowing that what's going to happen is people are like, no, child molesters are bad. And then he's going to be like, well, you didn't know I was molested. And it's like, okay, that's horrible. But you're only saying the initial thing so that you can respond with that and turn this into the I'm a victim, so listen to me. And like, it's ridiculous. Stuff like that's ridiculous.
How do you know that? How do you know that's what he's doing, though? It's
clear. It's what his actions are.
So why do you have to have the issue with him doing this? There's a lot of people that do things like this. What's the issue you have? Is it because he said fuck GTO? It is, isn't it?
It's because he said fuck GTO. And honestly, Joey, you should be more mad about that than me. That's your whole fucking lifestyle, bro. He said fuck really Joey's lifestyle.
It really did.
You said we gotta have more compassion, man. And he's like, fuck Joey's lifestyle. It doesn't make sense and it fails. And you're like, we gotta have compassion, dude. This man is like, he's like a brother, dude. Like that was what you responded with. No, fuck that, Joey. He came after us, dog. He came after us.
So are we solved with that?
You saying he didn't?
I still don't know the issue. What's the issue with the guy? What did he do? I don't understand. What did he do?
I have no issue with him, like me personally. Okay. I just think that he's kind of full of shit.
Okay.
And I don't like people that are full of shit.
That's what happened. You implied. Oh, we did talk about this in the last podcast. You're right. We covered this shit, right? Are we done with this one?
I think I did another video since then, but we basically did.
I thought you did another videos. You did a funny video. That's why someone said we covered it, but I remember we did. But you made another video where you like fuck off or something. I mean, that was amazing. He had an issue with it. He was going to sue you. Is there a lawsuit?
There's so many funny things. Like, I think that No Limit should be off comedy, which I truly believe. And then when I make a joke at his expense, he's like, it's coming from a bad place, and you shouldn't make jokes like that. It's like, you can't even make this stuff up. You can't even make this stuff up. You should be able to make up, like, nothing should be off topic from humor, guys, which I truly believe. And then, like, a little bit later, you're like, he's coming from a bad place with those jokes. That's objectively funny, I think. Like, a lot of it comes from just, like, material, you know? Mm-hmm. Like, when you see really funny material, it's like...
You have to take it. You gotta do it.
I mean, you don't have to, but, like, you want to not use funny material on some douchebag who's, like, clearly full of it? Like, I don't know, like...
Full of what?
You're doing the full of you know what, Joey?
Full of shit.
There you go.
Is he suing you or what? Is that happening?
I'm sure those documents are in the mail. I've been waiting for them, like on pins and needles. I'm sure at any moment I'm going to be served an official court order, and like, man, I'm pretty shook. I'm scared.
You do sound quite terrified, actually. Yeah. You really do.
I'm going to sue you for what? Taking clips of you saying shit and making fun of them. And then he's like, well, you lied in them. And I responded, I said, where did I lie? He's like, well, you misled. Did I lie or not? Also, I don't even think I misled. Also, the charity thing, that's ridiculous. There's a lot of good bits. We don't have to rehash the whole thing.
I think, Doug, I have an idea for us.
What's your idea?
I think we should have a debate. Me and you. Me and you have a debate.
Are we debating?
You present your information. I present my information. We go back and forth on it, and I don't know what the topic will be. I mean, it could be something as simple as Potland Omaha versus No Limit Hold'em, which I am still, but I think we should make this a real debate. I'm ready. I'm ready for it, man. I've been brushing up on my knowledge, my articulation, my preparation, my public speaking, my voice. I'm ready for it, man. I think we should do it, man. I want to go head to head debate with you.
Okay, what are we debating though?
I don't fuck it. You gotta be something. Yeah, I don't really know what we're gonna debate, but we got to figure out what we're gonna debate. We got to give the fans what they want.
Pot Limit Omaha, a great game, or the greatest game? Said like that. Pot Limit Omaha.
I mean, listen, Pot Limit Omaha is a pretty fucking amazing game, buddy. I mean, I don't know. It's. I love it so much. You ever played Pot Limit Omaha, Doug? You ever played the great game?
Yeah. I lost a few $250,000.
You didn't really take it too seriously, though.
It was a part-time job.
I think you could be great if you took it seriously, though.
Oh, come on. Sure.
What about a series of videos where
you know what, Joey? Honestly, seriously, if NASA needed astronauts, I think you could do it.
I do too. I think I do it right now.
Let's go.
You want to go?
I'm not going.
I thought you want to be an astronaut too.
No, you could be great at it. I think.
Thank you. I appreciate that. Thank you. I think I could do anything I want to do, except be an NBA player. I don't think I could do that.
Or get two NBA players on the podcast. Which we bet twice, and you still haven't done. You still haven't done that.
All right. All right, fuck it.
Oh no, not again. Are we betting again?
Let's run it back.
Third time?
Let's run it back.
Wait, you've lost 2K to me, I believe, twice. Although I don't know if the second window is finished.
No, it's finished.
Okay, so you owe me 4K.
Okay.
So you want to bet 4K on if you'll get 2 NBA players in the next year. Joey, your tab is going to get pretty big if this keeps up.
That's fine. I'll make a UFC video about Conor McGregor and the downfall of him. Okay, one year from now, 2 NBA players on the podcast. I'll make that bet with you right now.
Okay.
To run it back for our last one, okay?
Okay, you got it.
Shake hands on it. Deal.
Okay, this is a thing. Oh,
Deal.
wait, we've got to...
Thank you. Deal.
Thank
you. Deal. Okay. The split screen's working nice. I like this. We got the split screen.
So,
we got the little background in there.
How's the Chinese going, by the way?
Well,
I'm sure we got someone in the chat that knows if you said something.
No, we don't. No one's out there. They don't.
Oh, I'm sure someone here speaks
There's
Chinese.
absolutely no Mandarin speakers in the chat right now.
600 people. I bet you at least one of these people speaks Chinese.
I will bet you that one person into here does not speak Chinese.
All right. Well, but we're never gonna know.
Why? You want to take the bet? Will we not know, or will we know? I don't know. I don't like the process.
Wait.
It was NBA player or a well-known retired NBA player.
Yes.
Okay.
That was same terms.
Perfect.
If you get Shaq on the pod, you know what? Honestly, if you get Shaq on for like a real podcast, you can just win off just Shaq.
Thank you. That's perfect. You know what? That almost happened.
Because like that would be amazing.
I have one company that was offering me an upsell to get Shaq on my podcast for me to work with them. Yeah.
That was sweet.
I know. Okay, get some questions from the chat. We're going to wrap things up here, guys. Doug, what do you got planned coming up here, man? You said on Twitter recently that you want to make videos that interest you. What interests you right now to make some vids about, man? Oh, Wayne's here. Motherfucker, he speaks Mandarin, doesn't he?
Yeah, not to mention, I think Jeffrey Chang might speak Chinese.
Man, Wayne's
I don't know
like
what's
genius.
giving
He
it
knows
away.
everything.
Nick M dropping some Chinese syllables or characters, I should say, I guess.
Yeah,
Characters.
of course Wayne's in the goddamn chat. Wayne knows everything.
Yeah.
Son of a bitch, man.
Yeah, I should have taken your money.
God damn it. 600 to 1, I would have gave you that bet. Doug, what are you interested in right now, buddy? What are you thinking about for content here? What do you want to do?
We're going to do some poker news videos. I got a couple lined up.
What topics you covering, buddy?
All of them. All the recent ones.
I have no idea what they are. What can you tell me what they are? I don't know.
I'm going to cover the Ivy Jungle lawsuit with the Borgata.
Okay, dumb. What?
I'm not going to go through my topics.
Okay, sorry. Okay.
I'm not going to do that. If you want me to tell you, I'll tell you my topics, but not if you're going to treat me like that, Joey. I've been good to you today.
He won 50K. I mean, come on. Like, what's going on? He won 50K. He made 50K. You know, I mean, come on. Did Jungle Man and what's Trencher? Ilya Trencher?
I think so, yeah.
Did they fully back him? Just like,
yeah, I think they put him in and got half his winnings, and they put him in. He won, I think he won like 70 or 80K back, plus his buy-in, and Borgata scooped all of it.
That's pretty crazy, actually, man. I mean, did you dive into like how that can be happening? And
not really.
Okay,
I just went through what happened and like talked about my thoughts.
I'd be curious to see like.
See, this is why you gotta do deep dives, Joey.
Right. Well, we talked about it the other day when we texted back and forth. I was like, well, I'd like to know more about like what happened and how that came to be. And I understand like there was something that happened with the. We actually covered this in Table Talk, and we did clearly a lot of research. But it was something about he brought up. What do you think about Table Talk, man? What do you think about World Talk? Me and you, batting some mainstream world topics, ideas, YouTube related. Maybe we pick our genres. We got YouTube. We have things that are happening in the world, maybe in sports. And basically, World Talk is off just our energy, our excitement, our passion for the things. And we might need to do some work in terms of studying these things. I would agree with you. But we can cover more of these mainstream topics that we both enjoy. It'll give us a chance to become knowledgeable about the world, and it'll give us a reason to have more knowledge about things that are happening out there. World Talk.
World Talk. I mean, the name is just so good alone. You know, I just hear the name World Talk. I think, whoa, gotta check that out.
What are you, fucking professional namer over here? What, do you got a better name?
I'm not making fun of that name. That's a great name.
World
Debatably
Talk.
One of the best names in the world.
The World Life Podcast.
What do you got coming up, Joey? What's coming up in the near future for
Just
you?
podcasting, man. A lot of podcasts tomorrow. I'll put up a video about what I've been doing with myself. We got the Gus Hansen podcast. Probably do that Thursday. Wednesday, my man Bill Perkins. Friday, we got Rob Young from Party Poker coming on here as well. Saturday, I'm going to put up a video. I think it's going to be a fight video breakdown. You know me. All right, guys, we're back here at the casino. This guy, watch, bam, hits him in the fucking face. Boom, 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 boom. Just bashes his fucking head in. What's he doing? Turning around. Bam, hits him down. He decapitated him. His head's on the ground, rolling around. Look where his head's at. This guy lost his fucking head. Are you serious? I haven't seen a decapitation like this since Saw 3. My God. I think so. We're going to have something like that coming.
Okay.
Sorry about that. How's the guy look carried away?
I mean, I would watch that.
Okay. We got that coming. And then we got the Nick Schulman, Scott Seaver podcast coming up next week. And then we're just going to put up a lot of vids, man. I'm creating a new channel for the highlight clips. So I'm going to put the podcast highlight clips up on a new channel. And might cover some PLO videos with my boy, Dr. GTO, Mr. Dylan Weissman, who... Can we talk about that at all or no? Okay. All right. Why not?
Whatever. We need to make sure stuff gets squared away. But
okay. I forgot. Actually, it's a good point. It's a good point. Good point. Okay. So I might do some PLO vid breakdowns with him. And I just got some other topics. I'm going to ask people for some questions, ask people for some ideas out there. I'm going to see what people want to see and then what I'm most interested in talking about. I think one video I want to do is dive into tilt. Just what is tilt? Why do we tilt? Where does tilt come from a scientific standpoint, from an educational standpoint, in terms of how it relates to poker and winning tilt and losing tilt and all those kind of things like that. So I kind of want to just dive into these topics and questions I've always had. I've written down poker philosophy, Landon said, kind of just deciphering these ideas a little bit further and investigating general ideas and kind of using that same style. I'm like out of broken breath right now. I got so fired up for that fight.
Honestly, the head rolling around, I haven't seen this in Saw 3. It's just so funny. It's just so funny, man.
The thing is, I've never really written anything for these things, so I actually want to try writing out more things. Because I know, like, you work on jokes a lot, and you're actually cognizant of what the things you're going to say, and you're aware. Whereas I like to make a video, I start rolling it, and I just, like, go off the top, and then all of a sudden it takes this direction, and before you know it, I'm over here. So I kind of want to have...
It's nice. It's nice to have, like, some jokes planned. But some just happen to, like, some you're like talking about something and you're like, this just sounds funny, and you go with it. I mean, that's just part of the process.
Yeah. No, buddy, I'm excited to get back with this podcast, man. I'm just really fun. I'm like fired up to talk to some people, learn more about them, kind of learn about just discover what I can about them. I mean, I think I know a lot about people, but I just want to talk about things I'm interested in, things that'll better my understanding, and things that'll help people out there become better at poker, better at their life, and better at figuring all this shit out. And plus, I think that a lot of content right now in poker is a little dull. I don't know, a little the same, right? It's the same format, it's the same formula, it's the same personalities, the same approaches to things. There's really no outside the box thinking going on. No one willing to take a stance on an opinion that might be controversial and might not go against the grain, sort of thing like that. And I think that people are just, we don't have many people in poker that are willing to say certain things. So I think the community enjoys that, and that's what I plan to do. I plan to bring that back to the table here. So
I'm looking forward to it.
How many people are insane? Like who's gonna? As I cried earlier, now I feel like a crazy person, but you never know what you're gonna get here on the Poker Live podcast, Doug. All right, you're gonna get somebody, a host who's fired up, who's ready to learn, who's ready to get deep in with people as they're ready to get in with me. And ready to help people better understand themselves, understand myself, understand the audience out there, whatever, man. It's going to be a fun ride. I'm excited to get back to after it, man. It's going to be...
You definitely got deep in some people, and they got deep in you today. That's what happened. That's a good way of summing it up.
A great men here on this podcast. Great men, great conversation. You know how I feel about great men, Doug.
I know.
Do you remember that upswing party you had where a lot of great men showed up?
Why do you keep bringing this up over and over again? You're like, where are the ladies? It's like... we are a poker training site.
Do you know what's funny is no, Doug, I haven't told you this yet. I actually talked with Encore Beach Club the other day. I talked with one of the guys who is in charge of the club, and they said that party actually set a world record for the least amount of women in Encore Beach Club when it was open. So it's a rather impressive thing that you were able to do that. So I'd like to congratulate you on that record. That's very nice.
Wait. Obviously, you're joking.
No. I talked to my boy Andrew, and
we had legitimately the least women of any event ever.
That's what they said. Yeah, there was they've never seen more men in one place. That was the least amount of men.
No, Joey, you said that exact quote to me many times, so I know you're lying. You can't quote
You know how
yourself.
hard it is to go to Encore Beach Club and have no women?
This guy told me, he said, I've never seen more men in one location in my whole life. When you said that to me the night we were there, you can't then quote this guy like, oh, he said it over here. There was a lot.
Well, listen, I may have led him into him saying it, but he said it. All right, who am I to argue with the man? Okay, he told me. Now I'm just repeating what he said. Right? Yeah. Ryan McCormick says card runners parties always had ladies. My boy Taylor Cabey and Brian Townsend, they brought the women out. Okay.
Bro, if you're into poker training mix for the women, upswing poker is the wrong place for you. I'm just gonna put it out there. Don't go to upswing. If you're looking for the ladies of poker, you know, I've seen a few girls in the mix at upswing, but if you're looking for the ladies, I would not recommend upswing poker. Okay. If you're looking for poker training, I think it's a nice place to be. We got some good stuff.
I'm going to take another stance. I actually think upswing poker is a phenomenal resource because what you can do is you can better your poker knowledge and your ability to win and become a more confident person who then has access to a higher bankroll, which then gives you access to more opportunity in your life, therefore allowing you to meet more women out there. What are you fucking closing your eyes for?
I knew this was going some dumbass route.
I'm selling upswing poker.
You're not selling upswing.
Let me sell it.
Go for it, Joey.
This is a basic need that men have. Men need to find women. To find women, you need to be confident. To be confident, you need to be great at something. To be great at something, you can go to upswing poker right now. What? What do you think? You don't like that?
I mean, whatever floats your boat, Joey.
Whatever, man.
Whatever floats your boat.
Listen.
When you're like, the thing is, upswing poker is a great place to learn, and I'm like, this is gonna end with some dumb shit. This is gonna end because you didn't say upswing poker is a great place to learn. So upswing poker is a great place to learn, so you can up your game, so that you can make more money, so that you have more money, so you got a bigger bankroll, if you know what I mean, ladies. Where is this going?
Listen, it's a scientifically proven fact that women that you meet seem to enjoy a dinner that costs $125 versus a dinner that costs $7. It's scientifically proven.
Yeah, the $7 dinner is actually not going to. If she really likes the $7 dinner, it might be time to.
Wow, are you ready to take that stance or what?
No, I'm not.
Okay. People say we should advertise on gay sites. Okay, why not? I mean, I'm not opposed.
I'm just imagining, Joey. You're like, you tell a date, you're like gonna take her out for a dinner, and you show up and you're like, we got $7. And she's like, oh, nice.
What do you think about a prop bet where I only can take women on dates for $7?
Oh my God! As long as it's filmed,
it's only like where can I like McDonald's?
But hold on. You can only take them on dates for $7, but they can't know until you arrive. So like,
what if I just
they're going out on a nice date? You can never tell them.
It's just I just go, listen, my limit's 7 for you, okay? And they're like, I'll pay for myself. Like, what if they pay for themselves? What if I can get them to pay for themselves?
Oh, I mean, that's not as.
Okay. I see your point because it's a lot more of a thing. I don't know. You've been on the dating pool for a while, Doug. I know you're a married man now or a future married man, but women are more inclined to be, they want to pay. They want to like prove themselves to you and pay for themselves. So they're independent. They can support themselves. They have careers when you meet older women. So no, you didn't know that? No,
I that makes sense. I'm more shaking my head at this conversation.
Why?
It's just ridiculous, dude. It's ridiculous, but we need to close this guy out.
I'm balanced.
I'm sure everyone loves
it's a wrap-up topic. This is a wrap-up topic.
So you're wrapping it up is what you're saying you're doing in this
Doug,
topic?
give them one piece of life advice out there, Doug. If they want to go out there today and they can implement it into their life right now and become a better and or healthier and or more successful and or happier human being.
A lot of qualifiers there.
Well, you can do either one.
Okay, guys, here's my one piece of advice for you. Go for more walks. Doing that for a while helps you burn some calories. It's a nice place to think. It lets you get some sun. It lets you be outside. Just like find like 30 minutes some mornings when you have it, 15 minutes if you want to go for a short one, and just go for a walk and your day will be a lot better. You're welcome.
Amen.
Simple.
Amen. Guys in the chat, if you enjoy this podcast, please hit that thumbs up there. And I meant to do this at the beginning, and I forgot to do it at the beginning, unfortunately, but I was going to have people ask a question because I'm very curious on why exactly people want to be successful at poker. So if you watched it this far, first of all, God fucking bless you. Second of all, let me know what it is about poker that you want to be successful for, whether it's freedom, money, maybe the women, to disprove Doug wrong. But yeah, guys, smash that thumbs up button. Video coming out tomorrow. Doug has content consistently, I believe, on his YouTube poker channel and other channels as well. Follow us on Twitter, Instagram. You guys know the drill. That's it. Doug, thank you very much. Peace out, everybody.
Peace.
Much love. Godspeed. Amen.